This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance.
Fiscally responsible financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are the things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds.
Visit progressive.com to see if you could save.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
Hey, true crime fans. Tired of ads interrupting your gripping investigations? Good news. With Amazon Music, you have access to the largest catalog of ad-free top podcasts included with your Prime membership. After all, ads shouldn't be the scariest thing about true crime. To start listening, download the Amazon Music app for free or go to amazon.com/ad-free true crime. That's amazon.com/ad-free true crime to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads.
Hi, everyone. I wanted to extend a personal invitation for you to join me and a bunch of other really cool indie podcasters in the beautiful Berkshires for the Berkshire Podcast Festival. This is going on the weekend of October 18th through 20th. It's going to be like this really intimate podcasting event with live shows, panels, meet and greet, studio tours, special sessions. It's going to be really cool. So here's a little taste of the lineup. We've got True Crime Bullshit, Generation Y, Crime Lines, JV Club, The Karen and Ellen Letters, Truth and Justice, Murder, She Told, The Trail Went Cold, and a bunch more. I'm also going to be doing a live show with Alvin from Affirmative Murder on Saturday night. That's going to be really fun. This festival is also raising funds for the Northern Berkshire Community Coalition and DNA Solves, so your dollars are going to some good stuff. In addition to the event itself, I'm super jazzed to get up to this part of the country, especially because it is going to be prime leaf peeping season, people. Berkshire County is in western Massachusetts. They've got a really cool art scene, lots of excellent farm to table dining. I'm personally excited to do some antiquing with my mom because my mom's coming, and just get some solid nature time in. It's going to be a really fun weekend together, and I hope that you can join us. If you don't have tickets yet, you can use code FALLINTOTHESOUND to get 20% off. And so to buy those tickets, to see who's coming, to see the lineup, and learn more about the Berkshires, go to BerkshirePodcastFestival.com, and we'll see you in October.
Wine and Crime contains graphic and explicit content which may not be suitable for some listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
You are listening to Wine and Crime, the podcast where two friends chug wine, chat true crime, and unleash their worst Minnesotan accents.
Hello!
Hello!
Oh, hello!
I'm Lucy.
I'm Amanda.
Oh, we got a good one for you today.
Golly, it's a doozy. It's a
Never
doozy.
been so happy to be married.
Bro. Bro. I never want to get on a dating app ever again.
I don't know how you did it for so long.
I did it for a while.
You did it for a while.
And kind of can't believe I didn't die.
Literally, or just explode into dust?
Be murdered. It just seems like such, I don't know. I'm about the apps. I think that they can be fucking great. And just, make sure people have your location and you meet in a public place and you're very upfront about where you're going and what you're doing. And it's shit like this is scary as fuck.
It's very scary.
It's scary as fuck.
If you couldn't put this together, our topic today is deadly dating apps.
Oh, God.
I want to hear all your stories because, on many levels, very convenient, very... of the day.
Oh, yeah.
But
it's how people meet.
It's how everyone meets now.
Yeah. Even when I was on the apps in 2013, 2015, 2017, 18, in those general times, first few dates were always at bars and restaurants where I knew the staff, which were a lot because I worked in the industry. I always told people where I was going. I location shared. I shared photos of people that I was meeting up with. Even then, I was like, I don't want to get murdered.
Yeah. It just seems thin ice.
Yeah, I never had that scary of an experience. I did have one really weird quote unquote date that was like kind of a late night grab coffee at a late night coffee shop he didn't drink, and we took my dog for a walk, and it was just awkward and like not something that I would do again after dark, certainly. But even then people knew where I was going. And then like I didn't really, there was no connection. So I just like, I didn't really ghost him. I was just like, hey, thanks. Like, I wish you the best. Bye. And then like a week or so later, I was having lunch with a male friend on a patio of a restaurant near my apartment at the time. And I got this text from that weirdo rando dude that was like, I hope you're enjoying your date at blah, blah, blah restaurant. And I was like, what? It was so not a date that I was super confused about like what the fuck was happening.
But
I was just
obviously
like,
looking at you.
Yeah. And I was like, well, cool. So you're a total creep. Please don't contact me again. And I don't need to explain this to you. But I was like, I was having lunch with a friend. So like, if you reach out to me again, we're going to have problems, basically. That was like my worst, one of my worst situations.
That was midnight coffee guy.
Yeah.
First of all, that's a red flag. You should not be drinking coffee after like, honestly, like 4 p.m.
I got a caffeine-free tea. I was a good girl.
Yeah.
And we walked in like a well-lit, populated area. I wasn't like alone. Like there were people out. It was like a Saturday night.
This was it was the decision of coffee at night.
Yeah. And I mean, that sounds like so wild, even just like getting together that late to take a walk. But like we were both working in the industry. We had gotten off of shifts at different places. And it was like, that was pretty, that's pretty normal. That part didn't like freak me out.
Anything goes in 2014.
Anything goes in 2014. Yeah.
Well, I'm here. You're still with us. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm glad you're here, still here with us.
I am here and you are here and we are both still together. And I like that very much.
I like that too.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we get on to more tales of dating apps and how deadly they are, Amanda, please tell us what our wine crime pairing is for today. Uh-oh. Is it coffee?
No. I found an amazing article while looking for pairings today that I think is just perfect for this. And I want to say, when I say amazing, I don't mean good. This write-up is trash. It's dripping in misogyny from the female writer, as well as sobriety shaming and some not so subtle homophobia, which made it a shocking read that I had to share and rip it apart with you all. So without further ado, from the Gentleman's Journal, what your drink order on a date says about you.
Okay, I'm ready.
So the writer's name is Holly. They didn't appear to have given a last name, which is probably for the best because this write-up is not good. So maybe it's best that we don't know exactly who this is.
Okay.
She's a Londoner. This time last year, I went on a date with someone I knew so little about that I could have listed the amount of things I did know about him on one hand and still have fingers left over to complete a crossword and tie my laces. Fair. Been there.
Okay.
We didn't have a single friend in common. I didn't know his last name or even his job. When turning up at 8 p.m. in West London, pretty much exactly 12 months ago today, all I could have told you about him was his first name and that he was from somewhere in Germany, maybe Berlin, but the club we met in a week prior to this was so loud I couldn't actually be sure. So they didn't meet on an app, they met at a club.
Okay.
So when we walked into the bar on a Thursday evening and the barman turned to me and said, "What can I get you?" I looked up to said date questioningly, hoping he might, as I was used to, take the lead. But he said nothing. So I went for my usual, a vodka slimline tonic, a punchy drink perhaps, but I'm allergic to wine, so I have to stick to spirits. When said barman turned again and asked single or double, again, I turned back to said date with an expectant look, longing for him to jump in and say double. Because
why the fuck? This is so weird.
It's so fucking weird.
I would be weirded out if my husband ordered me a drink in front of me.
Don't order me a drink unless you say, "What would you like to drink?" I'd like this. Okay, I'll order it for you.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
But she says, because, well, anyone who's ever been on a first date in the last decade knows that you get pissed. Really pissed for the first 3 to 5 dates before you decide you actually might like each other enough, sans alcohol, to start seeing each other. But
everyone knows.
Everyone knows. This is healthy. But he doesn't say anything. He just shrugs with zero facial expression. I look back at the barman, who obviously knows that this is a first date and thus slightly awkward. Double, please, I decide to go with. And you, sir? Just a sparkling water, please. My jaw drops. I grimace at the barman. The barman does that wide face, smile, cum grimace thing that perfectly says everything I was feeling in that exact moment. A sort of sympathetic, poor you, this is going to be interesting sort of way. Heaven forbid this guy not have a cocktail. Jesus Christ.
Oh my God.
Do you not drink? I asked, semi-laughing. It was December, after all. He could have been hungover from the night before. I don't know what the fuck that means. That could be any night.
It's December.
It's December, after all. Everyone in London is hammered all through December, I guess. No, he says, I've been sober for 5 years. Ah, I said, taking my double vodka in one shake.
I screamed.
Taking my double vodka in one shaky hand, walking swiftly to the smoking area. Yeah. To try and diffuse the awkwardness of the situation. I'm guessing you don't smoke either, do you? The good news is we ended up dating for a solid 4 months. The bad news, we probably should have seen the writing on the wall from the beginning, from that first drinks order, and not bothered with the second date at all. Because whilst it may at first glance seem like a very loose generalization, a lot can be learned from a person's drink order of choice, especially on a first date. Turning this question to a few female friends and enlisting the help of one male friend.
Yeah, right.
Who manages a very popular champagne and cocktail bar in Fulham, we've rounded up our thoughts on first date drinks. Beer. Beer is a guy's drink. It may not be the most sophisticated of orders, but it's not going to have her running for the hills either. If you're in a pub, then it's absolutely fine. Quote, if you're in a bar and she's gone for a cocktail or spirit, you should probably do the same thing just to put her at ease. Ordering a beer on a first date doesn't exactly scream sophistication, does it?
This is making me want a beer.
I know, right? In other words, at least try and pretend you have some kind of sophistication beyond beer and rugby. A bottle of wine. How embarrassing. A bottle of wine. Quote, safe. That's what it is. It says, I want to have more than one drink with you, but let's not go crazy just yet and start ordering cocktails. I actually kind of agree with that.
Yeah.
It also is a good thing to order if you're having dinner, because then you can pair it well with food. Mm-hmm. In other words, it doesn't really give that much away, but it also doesn't send any particular heart rate inducing signals either. Whatever, wine is super fucking romantic. What the fuck is this lady talking about?
I don't think a woman wrote this.
Yeah.
It feels really rapey.
It's not good.
Mm-mm.
The general consensus is that you're better off starting with something a little more exciting and moving on to a bottle of wine later. Champagne. A pretty punchy order, sure, and according to a certain male online editor of ours, pretentious as fuck. But fear not, gentlemen, as women think very differently on this matter. Quote, I would love it if a guy ordered champagne on a first date. It's romantic and shows he's taking charge, which is always attractive.
Oh my God.
It says to your date that you've done this before, you're not messing around, and you know how to play the dating game better than the other 90% of the male race. Men will tell you otherwise. Ignore them. I'm almost done.
So bonkers.
It's so bizarre. I read this and I was like, this is my wine pairing.
Yeah.
I have to share this article. Cocktails. If you're in a nice cocktail bar, then absolutely order you and your date cocktails. Just be sure yours doesn't come back with pink cherries or a stupid name drenched in sexual innuendos. A side thought, whoever invented the slippery nipple should be punished. And don't even get me started on sex on the beach.
Don't order them then.
Right?
Why would you be ordering a slippery nipple at a nice cocktail bar?
That's lunacy. And I love a slippery nipple. That shit'll get you fucked up.
That's like dive bar.
It's delicious.
That's just a dive bar thing.
If you're in a pub or a slightly subpar dive bar, then don't. Ever. It'll make her doubt your sexuality from the get-go, and you kind of just sound like a tool. Only homos order a cocktail at a dive bar. It has a cherry
and Lucy
in it?
and Amanda.
Yeah. What the fuck?
What's a pink cherry?
I mean,
They're classically red.
I mean, rail gin and tonic at fucking dive bars is the move.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be good.
No.
I don't want to order beer at a really shitty dive bar because they often don't clean their lines properly.
Yeah.
So, like, this person's just dumb. This is just stupid as fuck.
I think they're a man who's never actually drank anything before.
Posing as Holly, no last name, for thegentleman'sjournal.com.
Yes.
Whiskey. If you have the looks, manners, and personality to pull this off, then why the hell not? If you once saw some silver fox order it and thought it looked cool in a Mad Men sort of way, so decided to do it too, then don't. You're not as cool as him.
Oh my God.
And finally, a martini. Whilst the man who orders a martini on the silver screen may scream sex appeal, the cold reality for the man that orders them on a first date is just a little cringe-inducing. The difference between champagne and martinis, aside from the obvious difference in alcohol levels, is that the majority of women love champagne, but unless it's 1 a.m., she's already 6 drinks down. Very few actually enjoy the strength, taste, or perception that comes with starting an evening with a martini. Quote, the stark exception to this is if you already know she likes them and you're in the home of the Martini Dukes. So Dukes is like a famous London bar that has like an amazing martini menu. I love a dirty as fuck goose martini up. And I'll order that any fucking time of the day. And I'll drink 3 of them.
Cringe.
Yeah, so cringe. So I had to share that because it blew my mind. My personal first date, and also pretty much every date drink when it's not like a fancy cocktail or like a brewery or winery specific thing. I just get a fucking gin and tonic. So that's what I'm sipping on today. Are you sipping on anything?
No, but I did remember that I put a bottle of wine in the fridge this morning for this. So maybe during our ad break, I'm going to go get myself a glass of Pinot Grigio.
Oh, I love.
Yeah.
Well, the timing is perfect because that time is now. Shall we take a quick break for Lucy to grab her wine and hear a word from our sponsors?
Yes.
Let's do it.
So among the many things there are to dread about like a wedding or like a formal function, you got the socializing, you got transportation, maybe it's in a different town, you got a hotel. Honestly, just the socializing. Let that be the worst part of a formal event because you've got your undergarments, your shapewear, that stuff, your bra, all that is set. That used to be the part that I looked forward to the least because I was just going to be squeezed all night. I was going to have a hard time going to the bathroom. But no, because I have switched all of that stuff over to Honey Love. And this is like a second skin.
Yeah.
It's going to make you feel hugged and not suffocated. You're going to feel totally fine when you're sitting down. So whether you are getting married yourself, if you're a guest, if you are just going out for a night on the town, Honey Love is your go-to for all things shapewear. And for a limited time, only you can get Honey Love on sale. Get 20% off your entire order with our exclusive link, honeylove.com/wine, W-I-N-E. Support our show and check them out and treat your bod, honestly, at honeylove.com/wine.
Yeah, I, as a wedding officiant, am at weddings a lot, and I want to be fully present. I want to look nice because I'm like, in all their pictures, I want to show off my best assets.
Yeah, you're like part of the team.
But I also want to be real comfortable, and Honey Love really does fit all of those boxes. I am obsessed with the Superpower short. It smooths, it shapes, it lifts, giving you a flawless silhouette under any outfit. And for me, it's the chub rub, baby. What I love about the Superpower short is the coverage. It's not all the way to the knee, but it's like a nice halfway point down the thigh, and then it comes up to my tiniest part, my little waist. And so I did a wedding last month I guess that was almost 2 months ago, end of August, where it was almost 100 degrees. It was all outdoors, and I had my Honey Love Superpower short on. Nothing was fusing together. It's so breathable. I felt much more comfortable because I was protecting my skin under my dress. It was a game changer. Honey Love's best-selling Superpower short is the go-to for that effortless look and comfort. It has targeted compression technology that distinguishes between areas where you want more support and areas where you need less compression. So you can actually enjoy the food and like sit and eat without wanting to bust out of your girdle.
Amazing.
Their Signature X targets and sculpts your midsection without squeezing your natural curves. It's designed to work with your body, not against it. And you know I've got a lot of booty back there, okay? This thing is like a bra for your butt. My girl has never been higher and tighter than when I am wearing the Superpower short.
It looks amazing.
It's a miracle. And you don't have to worry about it rolling down, which is unheard of in shapewear thanks to flexible boning that's hidden in the side seams. So it just holds everything up. The piece is, like I said, it's a booty lifter. It's got boost bands on the back of the thigh to give your booty amazing shape. And struggling to take off a tight piece of shapewear with a bathroom line out the door is literally my waking nightmare. But the Superpower short has a 100% cotton gusset, so you can skip the extra undies, and it has a convenient opening in the panty area for super easy bathroom use, so you don't have to get completely nude to whiz.
That's a benefit.
It is a benefit, and it doesn't stop there. Honey Love has more than just sculptwear. They have incredibly comfortable bodysuits, bras, tanks, and leggings for everyday support. Honey Love is just as easy to put on as it is to take off. Shapewear really shouldn't be hard. Their products make you look great and feel great. Whether it's for a wedding, an event, or an everyday boost of confidence, Honey Love is the perfect plus one.
Treat yourself to the best bras and shapewear on the market and save 20% at honeylove.com/wine. Use our exclusive link to get 20% off, honeylove.com/wine. After you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Say yes to every adventure with Honey Love.
There are a lot of things that I love about Talkspace. Honestly, just the simplicity of it. Like, I have such ADHD mental block, especially about appointments where I am required to leave the house. But Talkspace has allowed me to get into and stay in therapy in the long term because it's so accessible. It can be so challenging to find and meet with a therapist that's the right fit. And you could do this, get this personalized treatment from your phone, online, from anywhere. You can text your therapist, you can send voice memos, you can do video chats, you can do calls, and it's so affordable. It's just like the best therapy app ever.
Talkspace, the leading virtual therapy provider, makes getting the help you need easy, accessible, and affordable. If you thought that therapy was like something that was reserved for like rich people, it's not.
No.
Talkspace therapy and psychiatry are covered by many insurance plans and employers. Most insured members have a $0 copay. It is so easy to sign up online and get paired with the licensed provider that is the right fit for your needs, typically within 48 hours, which is crucial. And if you're not vibing with your therapist, you can switch providers at no extra cost. And it's not awkward because it's over
No
the
face-to-face
phone.
breakup.
Yeah, Talkspace provides personalized treatment for individuals, couples, the LGBTQIA+ community, veterans, teens, like whatever category or categories you find yourself in and whatever your specific needs are, they have a therapist that is the right match for you.
As a listener of this podcast, you'll get $80 off your first month with Talkspace when you go to Talkspace.com/gals and enter that promo code SPACE80. To match with a licensed therapist today, go to Talkspace.com/gals and enter promo code SPACE80 to get $80 off your first month and show your support for the show. That's Talkspace.com/gals, promo code SPACE80.
My gosh, I haven't done this in so long.
What?
Can I pop it?
Yes!
I also thought it was a Pinot Grigio, but it is a Gruner Veltliner.
Yum.
It's the far and wide.
Veltliner.
Veltliner?
Yum. You're going to like that. It's got like a Riesling adjacent, but it's dry.
Okay, good. You said Riesling and I didn't like that.
I know.
Well, this came from one of my Wink boxes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's so funny watching people use those fucking wine keys.
I can never get the right leverage.
I know. You
Oh my
got
God.
weak wrists.
She's so crooked.
Oh, yeah.
She looks like me slipping off my chair. Woo!
This is going to work.
I don't see what could go wrong. Okay.
Nothing.
Oh.
Oh, nice pop.
Far away from the mic pop.
I love that so much. Cheers to you. And also, I have to share something with you.
What's that?
On the break, I got a text message from a couple of friends who are helping me celebrate my birthday tomorrow.
It's not tomorrow.
It's not tomorrow. It's Monday, but tomorrow's Saturday. So
Scared me.
we're getting together.
Okay.
And It was Robbie. Robbie texted, fun day tomorrow. We're playing Magic during the daytime, which I won't be participating in because I don't play Magic cards, so fuck that. Then we're hitting the honey baked ham store like rubbish burglars because Alla has a $50 gift card. And then Alla sent me the website and asked for my order. And what I'm ordering is the original ham and Swiss slider 3-pack. Which are they're warm on little Hawaiian buns that are like seasoned.
That sounds really good.
Honey baked ham topped with Swiss cheese on King's Hawaiian rolls, topped with our sweet and savory honey glazed garlic butter and pickle chips served warm.
Oh, yeah, baby.
I was like, Lucy's gonna lose her shit for that.
Sounds so fucking good.
So my birthday's gonna be fucking amazing. Just wanted to point that out. Ham-tastic. All right.
I gotta pour my wine.
Oh, yes. Well,
in my favorite glass, it's pronounced anus.
Anus. I love that glass. Once you're done pouring your wine, Lucy, what is your background? Maybe psych, maybe some true to life stories about deadly dating apps.
Yeah, I have a smattering for us.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, this smells nice.
I had that wine in one of my old Wink boxes. It's good.
Yeah. That's nice. I like that.
Love it.
Okay, I have a spattering. But first, I'm going to give you one guess as to when you think the first computer-based dating service was created.
Okay, well, thinking of like the timeline of computers and actual users that would have been using it, the 90s, 1992?
That's your answer?
Yeah.
In 1965.
Literally how? Weren't people still sending like VHS tapes into a service at that time?
Yeah. A team of Harvard undergrads created Operation Match, the world's first computer-based matching service. And actually, okay, this is what I was telling you about. This is why I was 30 minutes late to record because I was already running late because I was watching Monsters, the Menendez brothers show, which we had not covered before, despite rampant rumors on social media.
We have never covered that case. We've probably mentioned it, and on our happy hour, we talked about the problematic nature of Ryan Murphy's fucking true crime dramatizations, but we have not covered that case.
I found out that this wasn't actually the first one. It was the second one, because in 1964, an English woman named Joan Ball created the St. James Computer Dating Service, which was later renamed Compat, as in computer compatibility. Computerized compatibility.
Are you going to explain how the fuck this even works? Because people did not have in-home computers in the 60s?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
But, okay, so I've learned about the existence of Joan Ball, which a woman, probably important to note that she's been erased from
she was
online
the
dating
true
history.
First. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. But most of the information that I found was about this Harvard undergrads creating Operation Match. This dating service ran on a 5-ton mainframe computer. There's a picture on the drive.
Oh, runs to the drive.
And they used tape drives to arrange people's next date. The students tapped into the power of the IBM 1401, which was one of the earliest mass market computers.
So this 5-ton computer, is it the picture of these 3 women in a room?
That was Joan Ball. That was the St. James Computer Dating Service, but it's basically the same concept. The computer is the size of the entire room.
Yeah, that's an entire room.
Yep. So I will explain how it works.
Wow.
According to The Crimson, Jeffrey Tarr and Vaughn Morrill, all these names are so fucking dorky, so I just want you to just picture like a bunch of nerds.
Mm-hmm. Nerds
Jeffrey Tarr and Vaughn Morrill grew tired of the insufficient dating scene and wanted a better way of fixing people up. Tarr and Morrill started the service, but Morrill dropped out of Harvard soon after, and so he left the project. So Tarr hired a Cornell University dropout named Douglas Ginsburg.
Okay.
And also got the help of his roommate, David Crump.
Okay.
So together, Crump, Ginsburg, and Tarr managed Operation Match's parent corporation, which they called Compatibility Research, Inc.
Okay.
So this is how it worked. Their clients filled out a paper survey that had 75 questions that they would answer about themselves, and then the same 75 questions about their date's ideal characteristics.
Okay.
So then they would mail back their answer sheets to Cambridge along with a $3 fee, which time money converter would be about $30 today. Their answers would then be recorded on punch cards and run through this huge IBM 1401 computer. And I guess it like matched them up somehow. They were like Scantrons. It was like the sweetheart survey we did in high school.
Pretty much.
That's how this worked. And then 3 weeks later,
so quick
turnaround, the client would get a piece of paper with their top 6 matches, names, and contact information. So these questions were not scientifically crafted, but instead they were based on the founders' dating criteria. So again, these 3 dorky dudes.
Yeah.
Some of the questions included what your ideal height range is, your SAT score, how sexually experienced your match should be.
Interesting.
What race or combination of races they should be.
Oh, geez.
And then like some situational questions like, what would you do if your date ordered a martini?
Oh, God.
You know, I don't know. I just made that up.
Call him gay and run out of the room. Apparently.
Slam your drink so your hands quit shaking.
Yeah.
God. So this dating service became popular at many schools nationwide, including as far west as California. It was sweeping the nation. It was like Facebook. Operation Match made the equivalent of $2.2 million in just its first year. So it was quite successful.
That's a big deal. Yeah.
Look magazine featured the dating service on its 1966 Valentine's Day cover. There's a picture of that cover that is also on the drive. And just for a little bit of context, like cultural context, another of the cover stories was titled, Why Red China Wants to Fight Us.
Yeah. What a time.
So here is a quote from the Look article. A nationwide dating spree is on. Thousands of boys and girls who've never met plan weekends together. For now that punch card dating's here, can flings be far behind? And oh, it's so right, baby. The great God computer has sent the word. Fate, destiny, go, go, go.
Okay. Okay.
Little bit dramatic, but I love where the energy is.
The drama for real.
The drama. So similar services started popping up around the country with one competitor at MIT called Contact Inc. So the Operation Match guys eventually sold the company for like not that much money because the novelty was sort of wearing down because all these competitors were getting on the market. Tar went on to work on Wall Street. Crump went on to be a NASA scientific engineer and then went to law school. And Doug Ginsburg went to law school and was later nominated to the Supreme Court. However, Ginsburg withdrew his name from consideration because of reports that he had smoked weed in the past.
That's a no-no. Don't do that.
How the ethics of the Supreme Court justices have changed over the years. He's like, I shan't. I was bad once. No,
never again.
Flying upside down flags and shit.
God.
Here's a quote from a really good Bustle article. Quote, the first online dating network arrived decades later in 1984, which is still way earlier than I would have thought. With the Matchmaker Electronic Pen Pal Network. Sexy.
Yeah, sounds hot.
Starting on bulletin board systems like online bulletin boards, Matchmaker grew to 14 boards across as many major cities around the U.S. 14 major cities around the U.S.
Okay.
On its heels, sites like Match.com and OkCupid promise not just proximal and hobby-based love, but also something closer to Operation Match.
I was an early OkCupid user.
Were you really?
Yeah, because I was on apps, before Tinder was a thing.
Yeah.
Like OkCupid was the thing for a while.
Like desktop.
Not as convenient.
No. So these were more focused on more universal and like true and accessible and real love.
Mm-hmm.
And their kind of through line was that a computer that knows you and has a mate waiting for you.
Mm.
So moving towards where the apps are today and a little bit of psychology, but like they're so widespread, there's not any real like
Cohesive psych.
Yeah. According to Helen Fisher, a biological anthropologist and senior research fellow at the Kinsey Institute of Indiana University, quote, "The brain is ready to get addicted, particularly when it comes to love."
True that.
According to Fisher, the apps are, quote, "selling life's greatest prize."
Mm-hmm.
And Elias Abukaude, a clinical professor of psychiatry at Stanford, says dating apps give their users a rush that comes from receiving a like or a match. And that there's probably like a dopamine-like reward pathway involved. A lot of effects on users have remained unstudied or understudied.
Okay.
Amy Gordon, an assistant professor of psychology at University of Michigan, says, "We really don't know why certain people end up together."
Right.
I mean, it's just like any other, it's a gamification of relationships.
1,000%.
So when you
1,000%.
get that match, you're like, oh, I unlocked that level.
Mm-hmm.
Get that new little thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or just boosted my self-confidence, which is chemically probably the same thing. According to Pew Research, 79% of recent dating app users were excited by the potential partners they've seen on the app. But the exact same sample also found that 88% were somewhat disappointed with their options. So it's a mix.
You know what? Fair.
Yeah. And the more you swipe, the more you get like fatigued.
Mm-hmm. Tinder
So-
fatigue is very real.
Yeah. And it's like, it's the same all around. Like you think your fatigue is real. There's still other people on the other side of these that are, I don't know, it just kind of sucks all around.
Mm-hmm.
When asked how often respondents felt emotionally, mentally, or physically exhausted by dating apps, 78% said that they experienced this feeling sometimes, often, or always.
Okay.
Emotionally, mentally, or physically exhausted. That's
Yeah.
not great.
No.
Younger generations felt this burnout the most, possibly due to how common it is for these age groups to use dating apps or just general digital communication in the first place.
Okay.
Because burnout can also be caused by and can be contributed by any other app usage
Right.
or virtual
It all could stack.
living. Yeah, sometimes you just don't want to look at a fucking screen anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the best dating apps, according to Glamour, include Match. Tell me if you've used these. Match?
Never used Match, but I know I have friends whose parents have used Match and eHarmony. I've never used that.
That's kind of like the older generation.
Mm-hmm. It's okay to look.
I forgot about that. It's okay to look.
It's okay to look.
Oh my God. Okay, Hinge,
I've never used Hinge.
Tinder,
Mm-hmm.
OkCupid,
Yes.
Bumble.
Yes, I've used Bumble.
Have you used Senior Match?
No. I'll use
How
that in
about-
my third act.
How about Field? F-E-E-L-D.
No, I've never even heard of that. Ugh. Not
Field
loving it.
is for couples or groups looking for hookups, polyamory, or sexual exploration.
Okay. Good for them.
Yeah.
Don't love the name. They could have done that better,
Field.
but all right.
Yeah, I feel felt.
Mm-hmm.
An app called Raya. I've never heard of that either. And
You'd never heard of Raya?
No.
We could never make it onto Raya. That's for like really hot people who can date celebrities.
Oh,
Yeah.
I could be on that app. Have you seen my feet?
Fair.
There's
Fair.
one just for feet, I'm sure. Also Grindr, which is like more targeted towards gay and bi men,
Mm-hmm.
and more
And
for
Republicans
casual.
at the RNC. Because apparently
love
it
that so
crashed
much.
during the RNC.
I love that so much. I saw a video of someone swiping and it was like, this person is 1 foot away from you, 1 foot away from you, 3 feet away from you.
The location services are tight.
Tight. Yeah, I know.
Real tight.
Dang. But so with all these apps, how do you know which one is right for you? And they're all kind of geared towards more specific, well, not some of them are for specific things. Like I said, Field is for couples
poly
or
couples,
groups.
and
Grinders towards mostly gay men. Do gay women can use Grinder?
I mean, I'd assume anyone can use Grindr. I don't know what the success or popularity among gay women, lesbian women is on Grindr. I don't know.
I'll ask Scott. Senior Match is best for ages 40 and up, which I feel is a low threshold.
Yeah, 40 isn't senior.
I'm 3 years from 40.
Yeah.
And Tinder is most commonly used for casual dating and hookups. Bumble is seen as an app more broadly for social networking because now it has the BFF and biz modes.
Yeah, I feel like Tinder, I've been listening to on Brittany Broski's, I know I said her name wrong in the last episode I mentioned her because I had a childhood friend named Bonnie Brodsky, and I get Bonnie Brodsky and Brittany Broski mixed up all the fucking time.
That's totally fair.
But she did an ad for Tinder that's like a travel element so that you can find cool things to do in a new city and potentially meet up with people in that city, which I thought was kind of clever.
That's very clever.
Yeah, why not?
Why not let these apps take the place of other types of message boards?
Right.
With
Precisely.
a little flirty element. Mm-hmm. According to the Knot 2023 Jewelry and Engagement Study, Hinge is the best dating app for marriage, with 35% of people who have met on apps having occurred on Hinge.
Okay. They call it the app made to be deleted. I see those ads all the time.
Yeah, this little furry H.
Yeah, I think that's clever marketing.
I do too. How'd you meet Bill? Well, meet.
Tinder.
Tinder.
We matched on Tinder for our re-meet.
I think it's
our
so
reacquainting.
Fun. Sometimes I just remember that we went to school with him.
Yeah, it's wild. It is wild.
Took just a hot 20-year hiatus from each other and then reconnected as if not a day had passed.
Like you do.
If you would have told me 20 years ago you're going to marry Bill Hoban,
I put that in my vows.
I know.
I was like, I never would have imagined.
No.
And I'm so happy I did. My God.
Oh, he's a great guy.
Oh, the best.
Great guy. Now that I've heard his voice for the first time.
You've heard his voice plenty of times.
I never heard it in high school.
Fair enough.
That's what I'm saying. We mentioned how women don't get credit for anything. In 1727, the Manchester Weekly Journal ran a personal advertisement written by Helen Morrison that declared her intentions to seek a husband.
Okay. She's on the prowl.
Men had been placing newspaper personals in the paper for more than 30 years by this time, advertising their assets and readiness to take a wife. But this was the first time a woman had the audacity to run one for herself.
Oh.
So there was a full-ass public outcry about the gall of this woman. And the mayor ended up sending her to a mental institution for a month.
You're fucking kidding me.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So with that, I want to tell you about the founding story of Bumble.
Okay.
After graduating from college in 2011, Whitney Wolf Herd,
they roam in herds.
Yeah, got a job in LA working for a company called Cardify, which was an app that allowed users to swipe through retail loyalty cards and decide which ones they wanted to use.
Okay. That's helpful.
Some Cardify employees then decided to apply that same idea to dating, and together they started Tinder.
I did know that Tinder or Bumble was a defector of Tinder.
Yes.
That much I knew.
So Tinder started to get really, really toxic for women. Getting ahead of myself. So Wolf Herd became a co-founder of Tinder focused on marketing. So she went around to college campuses to advertise the app. It was very grassroots, lots of stickers and koozies and frisbees and shit. So that's kind of how they marketing. And specifically
it's giving wolf.com from The Office.
Absolutely.
Wolf condoms poured out of a helicopter.
Well, exactly, because they have it geared towards college students.
Mm-hmm.
So that was incredibly successful. Around this time, she began dating, because this isn't a horrible thing to do at all, another co-founder, a guy named Justin Mateen.
Okay.
However, pretty soon her time at Tinder turned sour. Like I said, a lot of toxicity for the women on the app, in the office, all this. She was just seeing how it turned into something a little bit ugly. And at the same time, her relationship with Mateen unraveled. In 2014, she filed a sexual harassment lawsuit against the company in which she alleged that Mateen called her a whore during a meeting.
Oh my God.
She won $1 million.
Good. Get your bag, girl.
So after being scarred by the online harassment she endured after the Tinder blow up, because all that shit went public, and I'm sure a lot of Tinder users were like, well, you are a whore.
Yeah. Yeah. The toxic backlash.
Whitney Wolfhard wanted to make an app where women could give each other compliments. She's just like, I know that there are good people in the world.
I just want an app where people are nice.
Specifically
and say nice
women.
things to me. Yeah.
So that's where it started.
Okay.
And then this guy named Andre Andreev, who was the co-founder of Badoo, I think it's a social media site. He wanted her to work on another dating app. And she was like, I really don't want to do that. Like, it was really bad for women. But I'll do it if we can design the app for women to be in control. So she branded Bumble as a friendlier feminist dating app for women. The app
and like the women had to message first.
Yep. The app's central feature is that only women can make the first move when, again, referring to binary heterosexual matches. I think Madeline met her fiance on Bumble.
I think they did meet on Bumble.
Cute.
So cute.
So she hired Carolyn Roche, who was like, this said a sorority girl at SMU, but I think that was just like kind of helping with promotion and marketing and party kind of fun.
Sure.
So they traveled around Texas promoting the app by giving out free yellow underwear to sororities and free beer and pizzas to fraternities, telling the fraternity brothers that all of the girls were looking for their next formal dates on Bumble.
Okay.
So you better get on Bumble. And handing out yellow underwear to girls and free beer to boys doesn't scream feminism to me.
Don't love it. Not gonna lie.
She was employing just those same tactics to just get the word out.
Yeah.
And I guess the marketing worked because they started marketing before they actually had any product. They were just selling it as like a lifestyle brand.
Okay.
And I think also with the underwear and all the merch and shit, it would sort of bring up opportunities for like a girl drinking with the Bumble koozie and a guy eating his free pizza. Like, hey, have you heard about Bumble? Oh, we're meeting in real life. Look how well this works.
Right.
I don't know. It worked. Whatever they did, it worked.
It
but
wasn't
it was just the
unproblematic, but it was effective.
It was effective, yeah. Along with two former Tinder employees, co-founder Chris Gulzinski and former vice president of design Sarah Mick, they launched Bumble in December of 2014. Andreev made an initial investment of $10 million and became the majority owner with a 79% stake. Wolfhard became CEO with a 20% stake. By the end of 2017, Bumble had amassed more than 22 million users and had also been approached by Match Group. I'm assuming that's the company. Well, it's the company that owns Tinder.
Okay.
And they wanted to buy Bumble for $450 million, and Bumble turned it down. And then, like, the next year, Match sued them for patent infringement.
Okay.
Like, you mad? Now Bumble has, like I said, BFF and Biz Mode. They've generated $844 million in revenue in 2023.
Damn.
And reported having 58 million active users, with 2.4 million of those subscribing to the app's premium features.
Shit.
Yeah. So
that's a lot of users.
That's a lot of fucking users. It is the second most used dating app on the market today.
Damn.
They did hit a bit of a tricky patch in May of this year. I don't know if you remember. Do you remember their celibacy shaming billboards.
No, I was not looped in on that. That doesn't sound great.
No. So they launched a marketing campaign that, among other things, entailed putting up billboards with captions that said, quote, "You know full well a vow of celibacy is not the answer."
Come on.
Yeah. And then it's like, one of them said, like, "Don't give up on dating, don't become a nun," or something like that.
I mean, cool. Really nice to the like ace and demi community that aren't just on the app to fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Super fun.
Users accuse the campaign of channeling incel ideology, which, it's the same. It's the same sentiment.
Mm-hmm.
Bumble responded with a public apology wherein the company said it would remove the ads and donate to the National Domestic Violence Hotline.
Good. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Pay your way out of this PR nightmare. That is the American way.
It's the American way.
Yeah.
Okay. So we went over some of the dating apps, but there are a lot of really weird ones too. So there's one called Bristler, which is an app for women who have a thing for beards.
Oh, okay.
Bristler.
Let's
With like
go.
no E and it's like Tinder.
LR,
There's no E.
yeah.
There's one called Marry Me Already. To join this site, you have to be ready to get married.
Okay, how do you prove that?
I don't know.
Like, how do we screen for that?
I don't know. A pledge.
That is absurd, okay?
I liked this one. This one's called Salad Match. So this app pairs users over their preferences in a salad.
Stop.
You like
I was
cucumbers
hoping it would
too?
be for like vegetarians.
Oh, well, I'm sure you can meet a
VeggieTales.
lot of vegans on there.
Probably.
And then one called Hi There. This is exclusively for weed lovers to connect over all things green.
Okay, love that.
Surprised you didn't meet Bill on Hi There.
Right? We weren't really in our weed years until after we got together.
Yeah. 27% of 18 to 34-year-olds use dating apps or websites to boost their self-esteem. Another 27% of online daters pay $51 or more annually on dating apps. I thought that seems kind of low.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're actively dating and you want like good results. I feel like.
Well, and obviously, to be clear, I am no longer on Tinder, but I have some single friends who are, and it's like so much on Tinder specifically is behind a paywall now. Like if you want any decent chance at connecting with even like real people that aren't just fucking bots, then you want to do the paid version, which kind of sucks. Really sucks. I think that's bullshit.
That's too bad. But that's how they make their money.
Yeah. I mean, I was on it when you could get like Tinder Premium or whatever, like you could upgrade your account, but there weren't a bunch of ads. And now when you're swiping, like a profile will pop up, but it's an ad. It's really weird.
Oh,
It's kind of like how on TikTok they make a lot of the ads look like, and using TikTok creators, but they make ads that look like a regular TikTok post.
yeah.
They do that on Tinder.
I just automatically swipe past anything that says sponsored,
Me too.
even if it might be interesting to me. You don't get these eyes. 53% of U.S. participants admitted to lying on their online dating profiles.
Okay.
Of that 53%, more women lied than men, with the
Interesting.
most common dishonesties being about looks. I feel like, but in that survey, that's all just self-reported. Maybe
Yep.
women are more likely to admit to having lied on their profile than men.
I don't think I lied on my profile, but I wasn't like a big I didn't care that much about really fleshing out my profile. I cared more about my pictures, and I did connect my Instagram account to it back when I was using it so people could get more like accurate photos of me, but I didn't put a ton in my profile.
Yeah, smart. Relationships that start online are 28% more likely to break down in their first year than relationships where couples first met face-to-face.
Fair.
28%, that's negligible.
Yeah. Well,
Eh.
I mean, when you're online dating, you meet a lot of fucking people. So, like, what are you going to get serious with all of them?
Yeah.
Like, that kind of just feels like the nature of online dating in a nutshell. You're dating. You're not necessarily getting married, getting super serious. Like, I used it for a while when I did not want to be partnered. I just wanted to get away.
Have fun.
Yeah.
Get late. Get
Like,
lit,
go
man.
out and meet people.
Okay, so that's a little bit of the background for dating apps. But while we're on the subject of like feminist dating apps, the messaging for a lot of women who use these apps is to like be careful and cautious meeting people blindly and like we were just talking about.
Which is fair.
Totally fair. But this case that I have for us is just a reminder that women can also be violent psychos with no regard for others' freedoms and safety.
Same with my case.
Great. I hope we didn't do the same one.
We didn't.
Okay, good.
And, you know, of course, the mastermind was obviously a man. But yeah, women can participate and be creators and are creators of violence as well. We just have other ways of doing it.
Yes. And this was a weird way. So this is short because there's not a lot of information about this.
Okay.
But on September 28th, 2022, 22-year-old. Oh, my God. Yeah, it is.
2 years ago tomorrow.
It's a lot of twos in here. This happened in 2022. 22-year-old Lauren Marie Tooley, or it might be Dooley, the reports kind of varied, met a 21-year-old man for a date at her apartment on East Cashelapurdra Street in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Okay.
We don't know the name of the man. He's 21. His name was redacted from the police report that was published.
Okay.
The two had met on Tinder and started chatting and decided to meet up. She invites him over to her apartment. He goes.
Okay.
Once in Lauren's apartment, the pair talked for a little bit. Things were getting a little bit flirty.
A little spicy.
The things progress until Lauren starts to undress her date, and then she gave him a beach.
Okay.
And then things consensually at this point. Then things are getting a little steamier. He's like, what? This is going to keep going even further. He is still consenting at this point. She goes and gets a roll of duct tape and binds his wrists and his ankles together.
Oh, dear.
And he's like, okay, this is getting weird, but maybe this is still okay.
Yeah, you don't start doing that unless you have an open conversation with your partner that they're cool with it and they're into it. Because not everybody's into that.
Correct. He was into it enough for her to get the duct tape on his hands and wrists, or wrists and ankles.
Ooh.
Once that happened, things took a sharp turn, literally, when Lauren took out a kitchen knife and demanded that her date get in her bedroom.
Oh, no. No, Lauren.
Fearful that Lauren would harm him further, he obeyed, and I don't know how he hopped to her bedroom and got in her bed.
Okay.
Lauren then proceeded to climb on top of him, holding the knife, and she used the knife to cut his left shoulder.
Ooh.
So
I don't like it.
He's bleeding from this cut. She then, sitting on top of him, uses both of her hands to apply direct pressure to his throat for about 20 seconds, making it difficult for him to breathe, obviously. So after 20 seconds, she stops, and he's hoping that it's over, but this was just a short pause so that she could get a belt.
Oh.
She wrapped the belt around his neck and then tightened that for another 20 seconds. He can't breathe. He passes out.
Oh, no.
She took off the belt and she checked to make sure to see if he still had a pulse. She thought she might have killed him. Which, flash news, it takes a lot longer than 20 seconds to choke someone to death. It takes like 3 minutes. But anyway, he was still alive.
Okay.
After making sure he was still alive, the young woman got upset because all of a sudden there's blood all over her bed.
Yeah, you don't say.
She's yelling at him for bleeding all over her bed. So she told her date to get into the bathtub to clean himself up. It was at this point when she decided to order some DoorDash because she was hungry.
Okay.
I don't know what she ordered. I really tried to figure that out, but she ordered DoorDash. When her food arrived at her apartment, she told her victim, quote, "If you scream or say anything, I'll kill you." So he didn't say anything when they were dropping off the food. She ate her food, got him out of the bathroom, put her back in her bed, and covered him up with a blanket. That's when he said he noticed that the knife she was using earlier was under the blanket, like down by his feet. So he just kind of waited patiently. She fell asleep in the bed next to him. He was able to get the knife up into his hands and cut off enough of the tape so that he could get out.
Oh my God. Okay.
Got out of the bed. He either like grabbed his keys and his keys made some noise, or he ran into like a coffee table. But either way, he made some kind of noise before he could get out of the apartment, and it woke her up. So he runs out of the apartment. He's got his phone. She's chasing him out into the parking lot. Witnesses say that she like tried grabbing at him while he was on the phone with 911, and then so she got his blood all over her hands, and then she was like smearing it.
Oh God.
And the at 5:43 p.m. So this happened like all afternoon. At 5:43 p.m., two police officers were dispatched to Lauren's apartment to investigate. There had been a 911 call with an open line where a male and a female voice could be heard. The operator said he could hear the man saying he was bleeding all over the bed. He could also be heard telling another person, quote, "Because you cut me," and, quote, "You're going to kill me."
That's fucking terrifying.
Once the officers made it to the scene, residents at the apartment told them that there was a naked man in the parking lot who needed help. They found Lauren's victim, who was still bleeding from the laceration on his shoulder, as he was backing away from Lauren, who had blood on her arms and hands. He screamed that she had tied him up and cut him. She was detained and charged with second-degree kidnapping, assault in the second degree, menacing, and false imprisonment, and was facing up to 25 years in prison.
Wow.
So she appeared in court on October 6th of 2022, and I can't find anything after that.
Yeah, that seems as she was sentenced at that point or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if anyone knows, send in that update, because
Isn't that horrific?
Yeah, and you know, this person is a sex offender and a violent criminal. Like, people should be aware, if she's not in prison, that she could be luring other unsuspecting men.
And it just makes me wonder, like, it doesn't sound like that was probably the first time she did it, because everything escalated so quickly. Yeah. And I think that a man would be less inclined to report to the police that a woman had
assaulted them in some way.
Sexually, even if it started consensually or whatever.
Just physically.
It's a bizarre, it's an atypical situation, I'll put it that way. And I think that it is likely that she's done it before or something along those lines, and it just wasn't reported. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, that's scary.
Yeah.
No, Lauren. No.
No, Lauren.
Bad.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that is my segment. Little case, little history, lots of feminism and maybe problematic feminism.
A lot of branded condoms, some panties.
Koozies, undies.
I'll take the pizza, though. Why are you only dropping that off at the frat house?
I will take the beer. I will take the pizza.
I love pizza and beer. Well done.
Thank you.
Should we take a quick break to hear from our sponsors before getting to my horrific segment?
I think that's a great idea.
Let's do it.
You know I like to gross you out.
Yeah, it's your favorite thing.
And I'm going to tell you just how dirty your toilet is.
Girl, let's go. I'm ready.
I mean, it's a toilet, obviously. It's gonna be like, not the cleanest part of your house, but it is way grosser than you think it is.
Oh, good.
In fact, bacteria and viruses can actually hang around in the toilet bowl after multiple flushes.
Nope.
It's just always hanging out in there. And the easiest way to clean your toilet, trust us on this, is Blue Land's sustainable toilet cleaner tablets.
Obsessed.
I used these on my toilets just yesterday. You just drop one of them in, you watch it fizz, you just give it a quick brush, and you flush it, and that's it. You don't have to scrub, because nothing makes me want to gag more than like scrubbing a toilet bowl.
Thinking about it's triggering.
Yep. Plus, these tablets are completely plastic-free, so you can feel good about not just throwing away plastic for every single time you have to clean anything.
They also smell so good. That like lemony scent, I can't. Blue Land is on a mission to eliminate single-use plastic by reinventing cleaning essentials to be better for you and the planet with the same powerful clean that you're used to. Blue Land uses no single-use plastic in any component, from bottles, tablets, and wrappers to shipping. Their tablet packaging is fully compostable. They also have these amazing and really cute reusable tins for things like the laundry tablets, the dishwasher tablets, the toilet tablets. Like, I love these tins. I will keep them forever. Blue Land products are effective and affordable. Their toilet tablets are proven to work on a range of toilet stains, including rust, mineral deposits, limescale, and hard water. Those are really hard to tackle stains, and Blue Land has got you covered. You can even get more savings by buying refills in bulk, or do what I did, set up a subscription. Their subscriptions are customizable and convenient, so you never run out of your most used products. I have not had to run to the store for cleaning products in years. I always have what I need. Blue Land is trusted in over 1 million homes, including ours, so what are you waiting for?
Blue Land has a special offer for our listeners. Right now, get 15% off your first order by going to blueland.com/gals. You won't want to miss this. blueland.com/gals for 15% off. That's blueland.com/gals to get 15% off.
Fall is here. It's cozy baking season.
Oh, too bad I hate baking.
Yeah, well, we have a solution for you. The temperatures are dropping. It's time to start baking delicious homemade favorites, and Wild Grain is here to help you warm up your house with sourdough breads, fresh pastas, and artisanal pastries. I am drooling, including a wide array of seasonal offerings. Rumor has it they will have a small number of apple cider donuts.
Stop it.
I can't,
Those
so
are the
get
only
them.
donuts I love.
Yum! Get them before they sell out. They make it so easy by doing all of the hard work for you. You just pop it in the oven.
Yeah, like I said, I hate baking. It is too specific. It
It's
makes
too
a mess.
mathematical.
There's too many bowls. Everything gets hard right away. So Wild Grain is the perfect solution for people like me, because all you do is take it out of your freezer, pop it straight into the oven, and you'll have whatever glorious baked goods in 25 minutes or less.
Yup.
So if you are not familiar with Wild Grain, it is the first Bake from Frozen subscription box for artisanal breads, pastries, and pastas. Wild Grain's boxes are fully customizable to your tastes and dietary restrictions. In addition to their classic variety box, they've recently launched a new gluten-free box and a plant-based box that is 100% vegan.
Go off, Wild Grain.
Best of all, they take the hassle out of baking, since all items bake from frozen in 25 minutes or less with no mess or cleanup. Praise the Lord.
Seriously.
Wild Grain has, I'm like excited to host Thanksgiving because I'm going to pull that tray of croissants out of the oven, and my mother-in-law is going to be like, oh my gosh, honey, you baked.
Honey, you baked.
And I'll be like, well, technically baking was the only thing that I did.
Yup.
Yeah. Preheat that oven, pull them out of the freezer. You have delicious baked goods, pastries, pastas, cookies. The croissants.
Oh, they're so flaky and delicious. So are you ready to bring all your favorite carbs right to your doorstep? Be sure to check out Wild Grain so you can begin building your own box of artisanal breads, pastas, and pastries. For a limited time, Wild Grain is offering our listeners $30 off the first box, plus free croissants in every box when you go to wildgrain.com/gals to start your subscription. You heard me. Free croissants in every box and $30 off your first box when you go to wildgrain.com/gals. That's wildgrain.com/gals, or you can use promo code GALS at checkout.
This episode is sponsored by video game publisher Square Enix and their upcoming title, Life is Strange: Double Exposure.
We're so pumped for this.
This is so cool. I grew up on Goosebumps, like choose your own adventure stuff. That's what this is.
Yeah.
It's like a novella. It's a story. There's a deep plot here. So, trying to overcome a traumatic past, Max Caulfield works as a photographer, artist in residence at the prestigious Caledon University. Max's life is again struck by tragedy as she finds her new close friend, Safi, murdered in the snow.
No.
This is like some Fargo stuff. It is now up to Max to use her supernatural power to shift between two parallel timelines, including one where Safi's still alive, but still in danger, to solve this mystery.
Listen, y'all know that of the two of us, I am the video game girly, but like this will be a game that every level of gamer can enjoy. So if you're new,
I'm very much into it.
if you're new and you want to try to get into some games, this is your moment. In this game, you help Max solve and prevent the murder of her friend by exploring several locations in and around Caledon University, which can help her uncover evidence and information around this murder mystery. Babe, you're the detective. Life is Strange Double Exposure is an incredibly accessible title to new players who may not have played the original Life is Strange, providing newcomers with everything you need to enjoy the game and become emotionally invested in its characters, its twists, and its turns. Again, if you're new to video games, this is a great place to start, and you don't even need all of the lore and backstory of their previous game. It's perfect. It's like one of our episodes. You could just jump right in, baby.
No pressure.
So Life is Strange Double Exposure launches on October 29th on PlayStation, Xbox, and Steam with early access to the first two chapters starting on October 15th. For those who pre-order the Ultimate Edition, we have this pre-ordered. We are so excited to try it. So keep your eyes out and check out Life is Strange Double Exposure coming October 29th. Are you ready for my case?
No.
No, you're not.
I'm swiping left on your case.
Too bad. I'm forcing it on you. I'm pulling a Lauren.
Oh no.
Couples finding common interests is great until that common interest is torture, murder, grooming.
Oh no.
All of the above.
Okay, not great.
This is a very famous case. Like as I was going through all of our amazing researcher Kathy's copious notes, I was like, have we covered this before? And I looked into our backlog and we haven't. I just know that I've read about this.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a lot. This is the Tinder murders of Aubrey, well, not of, perpetrated by Aubrey Trail and Bailey Boswell. Aubrey is a man and Bailey is a woman.
Okay.
All of this took place in Nebraska with some things happening in Iowa, mostly in the surrounding areas of Lincoln around like 2015 to 2017 when the murder actually took place and then things came to an end.
Okay.
Bailey and Aubrey have a pretty considerable age gap. I think they're like 20-ish years apart. Bailey at the time of these crimes was in her late 20s and Aubrey was in his late 30s. Or like she was in like her early mid 20s and he was like, no, he was in his 40s. Sorry, he was in his 40s.
Okay.
So there's definitely a power dynamic. Bailey had experienced some abuse in a relationship prior that we'll talk about. I didn't get too deep into this, but I only bring this up because in her defense at trial, a lot of her past trauma and capacity to have been kind of guided by Aubrey was taken into account, which is why she wasn't given the death penalty for what they did. Part of why she wasn't given the death penalty.
Oh, good.
So Boswell was born in Leon, Iowa. Her father was murdered when she was an infant, so she was born into some trauma for sure.
Christ.
Yeah. She excelled at sports and was offered a scholarship to play college basketball, but turned to drugs after graduation. She married really soon after high school a man named Freddie Pennell, and together they had a daughter, but the relationship was not a safe one. Bailey's mother recounted that the Pennell-Boswell relationship was, quote, physically, emotionally, and sexually abusive. She would also state that Pennell abused Bailey while she was pregnant, including kicking her in the face.
Jesus Christ.
Yes. So experiencing this kind of trauma and abuse, it is not a surprise that her substance use disorder would progress. And the progression of this would cause her to lose custody of her daughter. She did split from Freddie. I'm unclear on what the custody arrangement ended up being, or if their daughter went with him or into foster care or an extended family supervision situation. I'm not sure. This kid's still a minor, so like a lot of that information just isn't available. But either way, around 2015, Bailey moved to Princeton, Iowa after her divorce, after losing custody of her daughter, in an attempt to rebuild her life. She got on the apps. She met a man named Aubrey Clifton Trail on Tinder. Oh, no, they didn't meet on Tinder. I'm sorry. Prosecutors claimed that Boswell sought out Trail on what is a now defunct sort of like sex marketplace called Backpage, which we've all heard of.
Oh, yes.
And she responded to a post of this man who was looking for a sugar daddy. So they didn't meet on Tinder, but they used Tinder, in their victim luring
So
plans.
she was looking for a sugar daddy.
She was looking for a sugar daddy. I mean, she's just lost her kid. She's struggling with substance use disorder. She's, newly divorced. I can't say I don't get it.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah. But I also, my sympathy, like I can understand the trauma that could put people in positions to then be violent. Mm-hmm. And I can even empathize with that. And that doesn't make it okay. Like what they did together.
It.
No, I'm not condoning it. It serves as somewhat of an explanation, like a linear explanation. This happened and so this happened. But this is really fucked up shit.
I think it's important to understand things like that. And
that's part of prevention.
And to recognize the difference between understanding something and condoning
endorsing
it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So Aubrey Clifton Trail, he also had a difficult childhood. He was abused by his parents, and then he was abused by his stepfather when his dad left and his mom remarried. He grew up in poverty. He was moved from one foster home to another before eventually landing in a juvenile detention facility as a teenager for armed robbery. And he had been in and out of prison most of his life.
Okay.
In the summer toward fall of 2017, Boswell and Trail would use Tinder to recruit several young women into dominant, submissive sexual relationships, which again, with consent and safety, all of that is fine. That is not the issue here. The relationships included grooming the women through physical and sexual punishment against their consent and regular discussions of witchcraft and the occult, and ultimately to recruit them to plan and participate in torture and murder for sexual gratification.
Oh, Jesus.
They wouldn't make it all the way to recruiting these other women into committing murder with them. It's a long-term plan they wanted, but they definitely forced them to engage in sexual torture that they were not cool with on both the female victim and these two. And mostly Trail, the perpetrator, would be a recipient because he was into it.
Recipient of the torture?
Of some torture and other sexual acts.
Okay.
The general gist of the three women's testimonies was that they entered into a sugar daddy type relationship with Trail. They would swipe and meet him online. And they would follow rules, which we'll detail shortly. They'd have to call him daddy. They'd have to call Boswell mommy. So they'd meet this person. And then it's like, oh, we're actually poly, and this is the nature of the relationship, and this is what we expect of you. So you have to give Trail massages. You have to obey his wishes. In return, they would receive money as an allowance. They would get gifts, trips, bills paid, etc. Violation of the rules would mean they were punished by Trail and or Boswell, which usually involved slapping, hitting, choking, losing their allowance, as well as forcing them to receive or provide sex acts on Trail and Boswell, or, have mostly Trail telling Boswell to torture these women sexually when they were like being punished for not following the rules.
Okay. That's a lot.
So it started with Ashley Hills, who was 20 when in July of 2017, she started communicating with Boswell, the female, through Tinder. Boswell was going under an alias called Jenna. So I think like it would kind of go back and forth on who was meeting who. In these situations, these were queer or bisexual women that were lured in by Boswell, who was on Tinder under an alias. But like Trail was also on Tinder, and they definitely tried to do this with other people. They just didn't make it this far, fortunately, with really more than these three women.
Okay.
Very early, Boswell told her about being in a relationship with Trail, and she, Hills, would agree to enter into a sugar daddy type relationship with both of them, Trail and Boswell. Hills actually met Trail in person first when he picked her up, brought her back to their basement apartment, which I've had one of those.
Garden level.
And Boswell would come to the apartment 2 hours later and kind of join their their group. They showed her their drawer of sex toys, which included a strap-on dildo. And under the arrangement, Trail gave Hills a weekly allowance of $200 and various other gifts. Hills was expected to follow certain household rules, including having sex with Boswell and Trail, giving Trail massages and obeying his orders, staying overnight at their basement apartment at least once a week. Whenever they were together, she was expected to be naked, and sometimes that meant at their apartment or at hotels that they would meet up at. She would have to ask for permission for everything, including going to the bathroom or getting a drink of water. When they were apart, she was expected to check in with Trail by phone every 3 hours.
Oh, my God.
And they forced her to assist in their coin and antique sales side hustle.
No, that's the worst part.
So gross.
That's so gross.
If she did not follow the rules, she would be physically punished by Trail by being whipped, hit, or choked.
Did they actually have the money to be the sugar parents for these women?
Turns out the coin and antique sales side hustle, we'll kind of get to. It's widely understood to be a fraud, and they defrauded some coin. They stole coins, they stole antiques, and they would sell them on the side. They defrauded coin traders out of apparently over $100,000. They definitely had some money.
Okay, but
to
it's
fuck
not
around with.
It's not because they earned it in a legal way.
No,
okay.
They fucking stole it.
Okay.
Hills would also describe her experience while being in the relationship, stating that when she and Boswell engaged in sexual activity, Trail would sometimes watch and sometimes participate. On one occasion, Boswell directed Hills to anally penetrate Trail with an inflatable anal plug while he was unconscious.
Oh.
At least Boswell told Hills that Trail was drugged or heavily medicated and unconscious. This might have been part of their play. Hills obeyed, and she and Boswell alternated pumping and inflating the toy device.
Okay.
At one point, Hills was sent out of the room, and then she was called back into the room to a now conscious Trail and was told that she had torn something inside of him during the use of the inflatable plug. But Boswell pretended to be possessed by a woman named Miranda, and Miranda the witch healed him. And now they wanted her to have anal sex with him while wearing a strap-on, which she did.
This is
so they were like, you tore his butt, but I'm possessed by Miranda, and Miranda's fixing it, and now we can now he wants to have anal sex again. So do it.
What the fuck?
A lot of drugs were involved as well. So
yeah, you don't say.
Yeah. Vulnerable people, drugs, the promise of money,
and Miranda.
And the spirit of Miranda are all at play here.
It makes total sense to me.
For sure. Hills would also describe watching Boswell and Trail switch off when communicating to Tinder women that they were trying to lure over. Boswell would often start chatting and then hand off the phone to Trail. So a lot of the women would think they were still talking to her, but they were actually talking to him.
Oh.
If the women wanted a phone call, Trail would summarize the previous text conversation to Boswell and hand the phone over to her. So that's a woman's voice on the other end of the line. Hills would also describe conversations that she had with the pair of them, which was regularly about witchcraft, torturing, and killing. Boswell would tell Hills that they wanted to torture someone by cutting a hole in their stomach and then penetrating them vaginally with a sex toy so they could watch the end of the sex toy come out through the slit made in the stomach.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's specific.
Yep. These fantasies were out of control.
Wow, that's a lot.
Hills described Boswell as joyful in nature when describing this type of sexual torture. Other torture fantasy descriptions included cutting out people's eyelids, scalping them, pouring acid on them, and setting them on fire.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Ooh, having your eyelids cut off, that'd be
awful.
That'd be really
It's
bad.
all bad.
It's all bad. I've just never thought about that before.
During her time in this relationship, Hills was conditioned to believe that Boswell was the queen of the witches, and ironically a healer, even though they liked to inflict pain. Mm-hmm. And Trail was a vampire who could fly and controlled Boswell and 12 other witches. Boswell would also act like the other witches were in the room with them when they clearly were not. That Trail could read her mind and erase her memory. That in order to be part of the coven, one had to take their soul, which involved inhaling the last breath of another after torturing and killing them, and then they would come into their power.
Ew.
Trail and Boswell told Hills that she would have to kill someone to gain her powers and become the 13th witch in the coven. Boswell would also state that she would prefer to be attracted to the person they found for Hills to kill. They would initially tell Hills that they targeted bad people to kill, sexual abusers, child molesters, and people who didn't properly take care of the elderly. Real
What
Dexter
the
situation.
Jesus Christ.
So it's fine.
People who didn't take care of the elderly.
Also, no, they didn't. They just swiped on hot girls on Tinder that they felt that they could get away with this with.
Yeah.
Hills would later learn that they were instead trying to find people on Tinder to kill and that Boswell wanted to kill her own cousin for stealing from her.
Mm-hmm.
Hills testified that the pair took her to a Walmart to scout a young woman that they'd met on a dating app, and Boswell would tell Hills that she would prefer that she was attracted to the victim that they chose. Trail talked to this potential victim and later asked Hills if she wanted the young woman to be her first kill, and Hills said yes, because she's like totally sucked in and manipulated by these people at this point. A week later, she was told that they would have to find someone else because the woman had left the state due to a family emergency in California. So thank God that person got out of there.
Can you imagine like finding out that you're that person who got away because of a family emergency?
No, I can't. And I did finally start watching Worst Ex Ever. I watched the first episode.
Isn't it awful?
And it's a similar thing where it's like, oh my God, I was so close to being murdered by this person.
Yes.
I can't. It's a lot. It's a lot. But those stories are important.
They're so important, but those I think there's only 4 episodes only. They're
I've only watched the first
particularly
one.
brutal.
They're brutal.
They're really brutal.
Trail told Hills that they, quote, would either save her for another time or find someone else, this person who left for California. Hills was also shown a kill bag, which included a sauna suit, so like one of those hot suits that like zips up, some pliers, and a hammer. She was told that the sauna suit was to prevent blood from getting on them, but then like just get a painter's coveralls from Home Depot, like whatever.
You don't have to be hot while you're committing homicide.
No. She was told that she would get her own kill bag and that its contents would be replenished after each kill. Hills later testified that while she was in her relationship with the pair, she was introduced to a woman named Anastasia Goliakova, who became part of the relationship. She was introduced as the watcher of Boswell's body. So this meant that Boswell, one of the leaders in this group, when she was being all witchy, her consciousness would leave her body when she was off to do witchy stuff, and the physical body needed to be watched over. So that's where Anastasia came in.
That's called a nap, honey.
Yeah, but watch me while I leave. Watch my conscious body. Early September of 2017, Boswell talked with Hills about killing Anastasia, I'm not sure how she pronounced it, because she was annoying, didn't follow the rules, and thought she was too good. So they didn't think Anastasia had it in her to kill someone.
Oh my God.
They were hanging out with her for just like a little while. They would talk about planning to kill Anastasia during a trip to Pennsylvania to steal antiques to sell. And around this same time, Boswell was talking about killing Trail because he was too powerful and too controlling. They would later claim this was a loyalty test for Hills to see if she would go along with killing Trail.
I like that they were just planning on killing Anastasia during a trip where they were going to steal antiques to sell.
First, we have to steal a bunch of antiques because I can't keep up this sugar daddy thing without my old coins and bureaus. Mm-hmm. Then we're going to kill Trail.
Yeah.
By mid-September, Hills said she snapped back into reality and decided to leave the situation and the relationship entirely. And she was warned when she left that if she told anybody about their arrangement, she and her family would be killed. So a little more about Anastasia. She was 18 when they met her in the summer of 2017. She met Boswell on Tinder, who was still using the alias Jenna, and this was right after her high school graduation. Almost immediately, Boswell told her how she's in this sugar daddy relationship with this guy named Aubrey Trail, and like, you should join us, and, goes through a similar process. Within weeks, Anastasia entered into the relationship with both of them that was very similar to Hills, including receiving an allowance, following household rules, helping at the coin antique business.
But this was after Hills left.
Okay. So they had been looking at her and they were going to try to get, they started seeing each other when Hills was still around. Mm-hmm. And Boswell was like, oh, we should kill Anastasia. She should be your first kill. Like, she's fucking annoying. And Hills is like, and then Hills left, but Anastasia's still here.
Okay.
In addition to helping sell antiques at the Aardvark Antique Mall, she would also help with stealing antiques, likely to help with Trail's fraudulent side hustle. She would receive an allowance, but was also allowed to keep some profits from eBay sales that she made under their little coin antique business.
Okay, get it.
Her rules, according to a text that Boswell had sent, included, quote, balls, swallow, stick fingers in booty during massages, use strap-on on him, be obedient, say sir, steal, kill, and in exchange, you'll get paid, get powers, be a millionaire by the time you turn 21, guaranteed. This kid's
Balls,
18.
Swallow. Oh
Yeah.
my God, that's so gross.
She would engage in sexual acts with both Trail and Boswell would hit her when she refused to do something asked of her. Boswell also spoke to her about witchcraft, the women in her coven, and the supernatural powers. Trail was continuing to claim he was a vampire and that he was periodically possessed by different people and that he hypnotized Boswell. Unlike Hills, Anastasia did not believe these supernatural claims. They also spoke about torturing and killing, including plans to make money by recording a snuff film of someone being tortured and killed.
Jesus.
They suggested they could make $1 million doing so, and the types of torture discussed included breaking bones and baseball bat beatings in a forest or rural area.
Ew.
Because Anastasia became uncomfortable, she was told that the types of people killed would be criminals or someone who had done really bad things like rape. Anastasia also saw Boswell and Trail switch phone conversations back and forth when talking to other potential victims, the same thing that they had done that Hills said they did. She would state that she actually warned a girl from Tinder that she was talking to Trail and not this girl that she thought she was talking to. Because, you know, most of them were talking to Boswell, but Boswell was under an alias and was also handing the phone back to Trail. So they were both talking to these people. You don't fucking know
You just don't know.
exactly who you're talking to. You got to be so careful with this shit. Anastasia left the relationship a few months later in mid-October, but she stated that she didn't tell anybody about it because she was afraid. She was threatened once again by Trail that they would hurt her or her family. Then they meet around the time that Anastasia leaves. They meet 21-year-old Caitlin Brandel in late October, early November of 2017. So this is like bang, bang, bang. This is happening from like August into October, where they're like cycling through these women that they're bringing in and harming. And then thank God some of these women are getting away, but they've been so threatened to not go to the police that they're able to continue on this app.
It's just so... Ugh. Just when we're reading about these cases where something absolutely horrific has happened, and then once everything is like uncovered, discovered, brought up in court, like especially these where like so many people got away and everything just
And
escalated,
how long it went on.
and nobody reported anything.
Right. And I mean,
I get why not. I get it.
I get it too. It's obviously so sad for the ultimate victim in this case, who we haven't met yet, but like, I get it. I mean, these women are they're basically girls. The oldest one at this point is 21. They don't know a goddamn thing.
You're not
they're
right up here at 21.
They're vulnerable. They're poor. They're exploring. It's like this fucking guy and gal, Boswell, they're puppet mastering these girls and scaring them so much that when they, thank God, do get away, they're keeping their mouths shut. Until, obviously, the murder trial came forward, and then they definitely, you know, laid everything out for them, as well they should. But yeah, I mean, that kind of manipulation is really scary, and it's really dangerous for the potential impact on future victims. And it's an impossible situation. I can't say what I would do. I can't sit here in the safety of my home, in the safety of my relationship, and say, yeah, I would immediately go to the police. I don't know. I've never been in this situation. So that I'm not implying that you're being judgmental, because I know you're not. I'm just making it clear to people who are listening that like, that's not judgment. It's just fucking sad. It's tragic is what it is.
It's sad, and it's hard to just see in retrospect.
Yeah.
And then you look at the clearance rate in the U.S., which is half of reported crimes, which is half. Like.
Yeah. And then those statistics only increase. And by increase, I mean actually seeing justice decreases for women, people of color, indigenous women. Like that's the thing. It's like, why didn't you go to the police? Well,
why would I?
Look how police handle specifically sexual assault cases.
Yeah.
And how easy would it be under the current system to shame these women and be like, okay, well, you got into this weird relationship with people pretending to be witches and vampires, and then you expect us to give a shit that like they assaulted you?
It's like that bacon guy who got lured to that guy's house and there was like a kilt involved and like some BDSM wear. And then when the cops came, they're like, oh, two queer people dressed up in kilt. Like, I'm not taking this seriously.
Yeah, ew. You
and
did
then
this to yourselves.
He got killed and eaten.
Yeah. It's just the misogyny, the racism, the homophobia. It's all at play, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Because it always fucking is. Almost immediately, Caitlin Brandel was told about being in a sugar daddy relationship with Trail by Boswell, who is under the alias Kelsey, but that's not really relevant. Boswell's pulling the same shit. She's luring her in. She's telling her, we're a package deal. We're in this sugar daddy thing. You're going to get all of this stuff. So you're going to get a $150 allowance. You have to do what you're told. You got to be naked if we're at a hotel or at our apartment. You'll be punished if you don't listen. You have to call me swallow. You have to call me mistress or mommy. You have to call Trail daddy or sir. Blech. Other role playing included acting like a cat, where Brandel had to wear a pink collar on a leash.
Oh.
Lucy's like, wait a minute.
I'm intrigued.
New kink unlocked for Lucy.
I prefer teal.
Yeah, you do. Brandel was also told that Boswell was a powerful witch, that they would often talk about her witchcraft, including that as a witch, she could grant Brandel a wish, but there would be a cost, and that price was never specified. Brandel would also testify about the sexual acts involving pain and discussions of torture during sex, including... And I include all of this to show that with each person they're cycling through, the stuff they're talking about and fantasizing about is escalating more and more.
Okay, good.
So,
great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Boswell anally, and not just talking about, but also doing. Boswell anally penetrated her with a sex toy as a form of punishment. Boswell directed her to use a sex toy to anally penetrate Trail while he was unconscious, and she obeyed.
He's unconscious a lot.
Yeah, I mean...
Do you think he's just pretending? I mean, who cares?
I think it was a little bit of both. Again, drugs. I think this was part of his fantasy, was that he was in some ways incapacitated. I don't fully believe that he was like completely out, because I think he wanted to experience some of these pleasures that he fantasized about. But at the end of the day, we don't know how with it Trail was during these specific acts. But that was the setup, is, he's passed out and he wants to be sodomized, essentially.
But it's not being implied that he was somehow victimized
no,
that arrangement.
This was an arrangement that Trail and Boswell made.
Yeah, okay.
And forced Brandel and other victims to participate in. Okay. This was of his design. During sex with Boswell, Trail would tell Brandel that Boswell would orgasm faster if Brandel described torturing someone during the sexual acts. And when she described rats eating through someone's bowels, Boswell appeared to orgasm quickly. So it's like some fucking American Psycho shit. Like, they were clearly inspired by things they've seen in the media.
Yeah, that's a rat with PVC pipe.
Yup.
But like rats eating through someone's bowels. Yeah, that's like medieval shit.
Yeah, that's like a medieval form of torture for sure.
Ugh.
On November 7th of 2017, Boswell got angry at Brandel for leaving a pot, like a weed pipe, in her car. She was forced to choose between being whipped or performing oral on Boswell while she was on her period. She chose to perform the oral sex.
Oh.
Boswell also performed... Me. Yeah. Boswell also performed anal sex on Brandel with a strap-on, but without lubricant.
Oh, whoa. Yeah. Also whip me.
Yep.
God, that's terrible.
Trail would hold her down when she tried to get away because it hurt, and he told her that Boswell would orgasm faster if she just leaned into the pain and made noises like she was in pain. And so she did that, and it appeared to work. That got Boswell off, and then it stopped. God. November 13th of 2017, Boswell told Brandel that she had a stalker girl who would not leave her alone, so she had slashed her tires and wanted to like get Brandel in on fucking with this stalker girl. The stalker girl turned out to be Anastasia, who was like, y'all are fucking weird, and left the relationship. That same night, Boswell had Brandel describe how she would torture someone. And Trail told her that Boswell would orgasm faster if she described these torturous things. So Brandel thought back to ancient torture techniques that she had learned about in high school and talked about putting a bucket of rats on someone's stomach and applying heat to the bucket so that the rats would burrow into the stomach of the person.
There we go.
And from that description, according to their claims, Boswell reached orgasm. Then they match.
Whatever works.
Yeah. Then they match with Sydney Irene Loof. And she is the unfortunate victim of this story who is not alive today to give her testimony. Mm-hmm. In November of 2017, they matched with Sydney on Tinder. Boswell was using the alias Audrey, which from little things we've read was likely deliberately chosen because it was close to Aubrey Trail's name. Not very creative. And they started messaging on November 11th. Boswell would learn that Loof worked at the Lincoln, Nebraska Menards and that her family lived several hours away from her. So she was kind of isolated. On November 13th, they arranged for their first date. Text messages were consistent in making arrangements for a first date, and there was no mention of Trail or any other third party. So she thought she was only meeting up with this Audrey person. Boswell hasn't told her about Trail yet. Mm. What my understanding is that Loof may have been bisexual, but that she was not interested in a relationship with a man, and that it likely, like, Boswell picked up on the fact that, oh, if I tell her about Trail, then we'll probably lose her. So she's intentionally keeping that information from her.
That's fucked.
Again, I'm speculating on Loof's sexuality. She may have been gay. I don't know, but from what we do know from like testimony from her friends is that she would have been out of there if she had known about Trail. Mm-hmm. The text included Boswell suggesting, quote, maybe meet first somewhere in Lincoln and cruise and smoke marijuana and get to know each other a little bit. And I'll take you on a date to Riva, which is a steak and seafood place at the Ameristar Casino, and pay for as much gambling as you want to.
That
Sydney
sounds
replied,
nice.
I know. I mean, I'd be down for that. Sydney replied, haha, okay, smiley face. I'm deaf down to cruise and smoke first. I haven't smoked in 6 days. Sydney later explained that she was trying to quit, but didn't want to pass up the opportunity to smoke with a gorgeous girl and offered to pay her some money for the marijuana. To which Boswell replied, I have plenty of money, dear, and plenty of weed. LOL, I can give you some bomb-ass shit. So she's like kind of making it clear that, oh, I've got this money, I've got drugs, like, you know.
You want to
like
hang out with me.
Yeah, like a love bombing thing almost. I'll take you to the casino. I'll pay for everything. Boswell tells Sydney all she needs is her address. And Sydney says, okay, I'll give it to you tomorrow on the day of our date. Boswell presses her again later, saying she needs her address so she can, quote, see how long it'll take to get there. Sydney sends her address. And within 1 minute, Boswell's already on Google searching that address and making a reservation at a local Best Western in Lincoln without telling Sydney that she got a hotel room. Uh-oh. And that's because they're going to bring Trail and he's going to be close by, but not right there. Jesus. Twice, Sydney Loof asked if the date would be just the two of them, which Boswell confirmed. At 5:11 p.m., Loof texted Boswell on Tinder asking, it's just going to be me and you, right? And Boswell replied, yes, of course. I don't play games. Trust me, you safe with me.
Mm-mm. You and
November
danger,
14th. Girl. Of the 2017 is their first date. Boswell still using the alias of Audrey. She picks up Sydney. Both Boswell and Trail, they travel. It's like 40 minutes away from where they live in their basement apartment in Wilbur to Lincoln.
Ribble.
Yep, I know. But for these folks, no, It's a basement apartment.
Yeah.
So they go together. They check into the Best Western. 5:35 p.m., Boswell leaves the hotel without Trail to pick up Loof for their date. Boswell and Loof go on their date. They spend a couple hours driving around Lincoln. They're smoking pot. They're having sex. According to Boswell, we obviously don't know exactly what happened in that car. She then dropped off Loof and returned to the hotel by 8 p.m. where Trail and Boswell then spent the night.
They didn't even go to the casino?
I don't think so on that first date.
Cheap.
But they got together again the next day, November 15th. Loof, after spending the night alone in her apartment, would then go to her noon to 6 shift at the Lincoln, Nebraska Menards. 10:30 a.m., so before Loof's shift, Boswell and Trail go to Home Depot, a different store, and purchase plastic drop cloths.
What if they had gone to Menards?
They do.
Shut the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
But
Menards
first
has
they go to
stuff
Home
that
Depot.
Home Depot doesn't have.
Yeah, like the girl they're going to murder.
Oh, well, yeah.
So at Home Depot, they buy plastic drop cloths, hacksaw blades, a hacksaw, tin snips, like tin cutting, drywall blades, and a utility knife. And while the receipts for these purchases are confirmed, a lot of these items have never been found. They dropped
drywall blades.
Yeah.
Those are ugly.
Serrated. Yeah.
Ugh.
At 11:30 a.m., they stopped at Aardvark Antique Mall, buying a folding saw, a weeder, and food grinders. They then drive by Louf's apartment before then driving to Menards where Louf works. They were probably driving by to check and see if she'd left for work, and then they went to her job. Boswell sends Trail into the store because Louf has never seen him, so wouldn't even notice him walking by her. Trail and Louf passed each other at the entrance, and like there is a lot of surveillance footage associated with this case, and it's haunting. They were basically stalking, like, it's really creepy. They passed each other. Louf was like leaving the store to maybe do something like out front or in the garden center. Trail was going into the store, but they didn't interact with each other. He passed her. He glanced over his shoulder to look at her before calling Boswell, who was waiting in the parking lot. Trail would purchase various items, including an air freshener, cotton rope, and Drano.
Oh.
The pair then went back to Home Depot and purchased a foot-long hacksaw, wire snips, drop cloths, a sharp utility knife with backup blades, and a tree saw.
Jesus.
Lot of tools.
It would have been super creepy if he had bought all that shit at Menards while she was the cashier.
Yeah, it's fucked up. It's all fucked up. 1:40 p.m., Boswell and Trill have left to return to their home in Wilbur. And on their way, they purchased Clorox bleach, a box of 30-gallon hefty trash bags, oval roasting pans, like the disposable ones.
Oh my God.
And duct tape at the Dollar General.
This is, you gotta make a list. They've now gone to 3 different stores to buy shit.
I mean, I think they think they're being clever by going to different stores, that they're less likely to be discovered by not buying all of these things in one place. But they are not being clever.
No, that's the duster talking.
Yeah. Throughout the day, Boswell was texting with Louf, asking about her day, telling her she's looking forward to their second date that evening because they'd agreed to get together again that night. Louf shared her excitement and told her friend Brooklyn McChrystal about the date, even posting her getting ready pictures on Snapchat to her friends. But she did tell her friend, oh yeah, I met this girl. We hung out yesterday. She's super cool. We're going to hang out again tonight. Meanwhile, Louf would work her shift and return home to get ready to go out. 6 p.m., Boswell leaves their home in Wilbur. She goes back to Louf's Lincoln apartment and gets there just before 7. She picked up Louf. She and Boswell drive all the way back the 40 minutes to the Wilbur apartment and get back there around 8 p.m. Sydney Louf's phone is turned completely off at 8:32.
Uh-oh.
And that's like the last ping, activity, anything on her phone.
Oh, no.
This date would be held in the basement apartment that Boswell and Trail had rented for 6 months, having moved in June of 2017. With the testimony of the 3 other victims, it is believed that it was always planned for Louf to be killed from the moment they connected with her on Tinder, which is important because Trail's defense would try to claim that with Hills and Anastasia leaving the group, not alive, Louf was intended to just be a replacement member. We didn't mean for any of this to happen.
Yeah.
But
historically, it hasn't happened.
No. And this context plus the giant grocery list of fucked up tools kind of shot that defense full of holes immediately.
Yeah.
But the other 3 victims who did live to testify knew about Trail almost immediately, that he was part of the package deal, and evidence guessed that Louf would never, like I said, never have agreed to be included in a relationship with the man. That Boswell had sussed this out and they intentionally hid Trail's involvement, and that plus the purchasing of all of these items before the second date all points to premeditation. It's just because other people lived through your fucked up torture situation doesn't mean you weren't immediately intending to kill her. That you'd been talking about luring someone in to kill them with these other women for months.
Yeah. That is the escalation, sir.
Correct. So the night of the second date with Louf, Boswell and Trail's upstairs neighbor would report an overwhelming smell of bleach coming from the basement apartment.
I kind of like the smell of bleach.
Yeah, but this smell was so intense that it caused one of the upstairs neighbors to vomit and develop hives.
Oh, God.
So that's not diluted bleach. That's just gallons of bleach.
Ew. Just in the air.
Yeah, which I imagine is because they were cleaning blood.
Just straight bleach.
Yeah. Boswell and Trail also had their air conditioning running on full blast, and it's November in Nebraska, and the highs at the time were about 54 with lows of 20 overnight. Yeah. So as your AC
Well,
running?
they were probably wearing their sweatsuits.
They're sauna suits.
Yeah.
So the next day, November 16th, Loof is reported missing because she fails to show up for work. She's not responding to texts from her mother, and her mom, Susie, understandably is freaking out. She reports her missing. They discovered that the last activity from her cell phone was that ping at 8:32 p.m. on November 15th, the night before, at the Wilbur apartment of Boswell and Trail. Simultaneously, while the cops and investigators are like looking into this shit, Boswell buys more supplies. At about 11:30 a.m.,
Enough.
she buys...
Enough with the supplies.
They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
No, they do not.
She buys another bottle of Clorox bleach and hefty trash bags at the Food Mesto in Wilbur. 5 minutes later, she gets 2 bottles of Drano at Dollar General. She and Trail's cell phones did not move the night of the 16th from their apartment after their return with all these supplies. So that's like, this is cleanup time, is what they're doing. The same day, police do a wellness check on Sydney Loof's apartment. She's not there. She was let in by the landlord. They were let in by the landlord. There's no sign of a struggle in her apartment. Her car, eyeglasses, and purse were in the apartment, but her wallet, keys, and cell phone are missing. Loof's cat had also not been fed.
Oh, for God's sakes.
Because she wasn't there.
I know, she's dead.
It's so sad. Also during this time, police are piecing together evidence identifying Boswell and Trail as their like main suspects. This is the last people she was with. Her phone pinged at this apartment. We got to look into this.
She did tell her friends who this person was, but she
said
thought her
she
name
was
was
meeting
Audrey.
this girl named Audrey, and I think showed a picture of her because this comes into play right now. So the police go to Loof's apartment. They don't find anything. They're not like really moving their ass on this lead with Boswell. So the badass friend Brooklyn McChrystal that Sydney had showed the picture of her date, said they'd met on Tinder, was like showing the Snapchats of her getting ready. She gets on Tinder. She makes her own Tinder profile and just starts swiping and swiping and swiping until she finds Audrey and recognizes the photo, swipes yes, and messages her.
Oh my God. I hope you do that for me.
Of course I would.
I would do it for you.
Like, get you a fucking friend like Brooklyn. Get you a Brooklyn. I will be your Brooklyn for sure. So Boswell messages back as Audrey. She gives her phone number, and Brooklyn immediately gives the phone number to the cops. So this is the last person that my friend went on a date with. This is her phone number.
Go.
Get the fuck on.
Sick 'em.
Yeah. So the next day, the 17th, Trail and Boswell pick up Brandel, one of their previous hangouts, and they drove to a casino. They checked into a hotel at the casino in Council Bluffs, Iowa, which is like 100 miles away.
That's where Ellen's from.
There you go. Brandel, she's like not fully in the relationship, but I guess they're still in contact at this point.
But it was consensual.
It was consensual. But she's like, something is not right. Like, they seem weirder and more tense than usual. I don't know what the fuck is going on. She noticed that they were having quiet arguments amongst each other that she couldn't follow or understand. And then they tell her, you're going to have to prove yourself by torturing and killing somebody with Boswell. The initial plan was to kill stalker girl Anastasia, although nothing would come of that plan, and they would instead try to find some cocaine that they could sell. They're all over the place.
They're so fucking... I'd say scrappy, but that sounds like a good thing.
No.
This is manic.
This is manic. They're
scrambling.
Wild. They're scrambling. While they're all together, the police make contact with quote unquote Audrey about Loof's disappearance. And Brandel overhears this conversation. And Audrey says, I picked up Sydney at her house. We drove around. We went to my apartment for about 20 minutes. We hooked up. We smoked marijuana throughout the night. And then I dropped her off at a friend's house, and I haven't seen her since. Audrey didn't give any additional information about herself, didn't use her real name, just like explained it away. And they were kind of like, okay, this is still sus, but we don't really have anything else at this point.
Yeah, it's an answer.
Yep. So the cops go to their apartment, which they're not at because they're at the casino, and they knock on the door. They don't answer, but the landlord lets them in. They don't see anything really out of the ordinary, but definitely noticed the strong bleach smell. And the neighbors, they interview the neighbors and they tell them, yeah, we've been smelling that since the 15th. Like it made us physically sick.
So that's like a week. Oh, that's just a couple days later.
Yep, 2 days. The cops come back the next day with a search warrant. Again, nothing's really out of the ordinary. Although the walls, like they were able to spend more time in the apartment because they actually had a warrant. They noticed the walls had been completely cleaned with bleach. The floor had been completely cleaned with bleach. I'm hoping they did like luminol. I don't know how in-depth that investigation of the apartment was, but they didn't find like the supplies that we know that they bought, the source of all of the bleach. Like they had thrown out the empty bottles, they'd gotten rid of trash bags, like whatever. It was just like, this house is cleaned with bleach, and we don't know what the fuck they were cleaning.
Ugh.
So from November 19th to the 22nd, the three of them, so Boswell, their third, and Trail, are still at that casino hotel in Iowa. During this time, they would have multiple discussions about finding somebody to kill. Boswell would specifically mention that she wanted to rip fingernails off of people and cut their limbs. Trail said he wanted to watch while Boswell tortured and killed a college student. Oh, I think they had actually left the casino because now they're in like this kind of college town area. Yeah, they move at this time. Sorry. A lot's happening, so it's a lot for me to keep straight.
Okay.
The plan was to look for an international student who would not be missed over the Thanksgiving holiday. So they turned their focus to the area around the University of Nebraska at Kearney.
Okay.
The trio checked into a hotel in Kearney and were scheduled to stay until November 24th. So they like hatched a plan when they're still at the casino, and then they relocate and check into this hotel. It was in Kearney that they bought hair dye and foundation makeup to disguise themselves, despite the fact that Trail would later claim that his plan to kill an international student was nothing more than a fantasy, and they didn't intend to act on it. But we'll just buy all this stuff.
The fantasy defense
is bullshit.
They're just so messy about this.
They're very messy about this, and I also don't think that they're in a state where they can even determine exactly fantasy from reality, because this is escalating so quickly that like saying it's just a fantasy means nothing when you've already tortured and killed somebody and now you're planning on doing it again. Maybe you are fantasizing about it, but that doesn't mean you're not going to fucking do it because you've already fucking done it.
I don't have any reason to speculate about their drug use.
Yeah.
But it sounds like they have just been fucked up for
a long time. Yeah.
And these little spurts of like manicness seem to be coming more intensely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fucking messy.
Yeah. The Kearney hotel manager said the trio checked in, so their third is still with them, Brandel, that the three of them checked into the hotel around 1:19 p.m. on November 22nd, but left the hotel literally 20 minutes later, quote, with all of their luggage.
They got an early check-in and they just left after 20 minutes?
Yeah. Quote, it was the day before Thanksgiving, the manager said. We honestly thought it was a dad and two daughters because he's considerably older, certainly than Brandel, who's like 20.
Mm-hmm.
We thought maybe they had family in town and didn't trust leaving their luggage, but they never came back. They had left the hotel so abruptly because Brandel received a voicemail message on her phone from the Lincoln Police Department as they were concerned about her well-being.
Oh, because they didn't know that she was with them.
Yup.
They're like, stay away from these two loonies.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
They also discovered that they were considered suspects in loose disappearance. Boswell cried to Brandel that she didn't hurt the girl. Trail claimed that the missing girl was going to meet up with them for a drug deal, and they were only suspects because they were the last ones to see her. So that's why the cops are calling you. We didn't actually do this. Boswell told Brandel that she did not have a romantic relationship with the missing girl, with Sydney, but that Trail had fooled around with her. They're just making up all kinds of weird stories to throw Brandel off.
Yeah, have fun keeping all this straight.
Right? I can barely keep it straight. It's fucking written down.
Yeah.
While still denying any involvement, the police's phone call would end the trio's hunt for a potential murder victim because they're like, oh shit, the cops are calling her. We got to cool it. Brandel was instructed to turn off her cell phone. Now, I think she did for a little bit. And then the next day, on November 23rd, she turned her phone back on and she had received a voicemail telling her that her dad had had a heart attack. So she had to go be with her family. Now, I don't know if he did really have a heart attack or if this was a lie to help her get away.
Yeah.
Either way, I identify with this. This is like, if her dad really did have a heart attack, like it's a dad's unknowingly powerful act to get his fucking daughter out of a bad situation. Cause like, I mean, my dad dying was his last gift to me was getting Danny the fuck out of my life. That guy was an abusive piece of shit.
Yeah.
So, you know, whether or not the heart attack actually happened, this worked. They dropped her off at like a casino where she could like take a bus to get to her family, and she never talked to them again. She got away, and that was it.
I hope that she got to her parents' house and her dad answered the door and he was just fine and they was totally happy to just be together. Honestly,
that's what I hope happened, but I don't have any evidence to say either way. All we know is that she gets this voicemail. That's the gist of the voicemail, and it works and she gets away.
The last time I turned my phone on silent, not just vibrate, was the day your dad died.
Yeah, never again.
I have not put my phone on silent since.
Oh, I'm sorry to give you trauma.
Oh, yeah. You should be sorry.
Might be.
I had like 10 missed calls and I was like, oh, I called Courtney back and she told me, oh, fuck.
That's all right. I mean, you were in Iowa, so it's not a whole lot you could have done anyway. But
well, you tried calling me, so I could have answered your fucking phone call.
It's probably better that you didn't answer when I called, because that was like before I had just told, like, because Courtney came over and was like, what should I do? And I was like, can you just let everyone know? Because, like, I can't. I can't do that part.
Yeah.
And she did a really good job. And, I mean,
Courtney was our phone tree for Jessica, too. She's really good at breaking devastating news. Yeah.
She is very good at it. She's very good at it. But, like, she also knows everybody. She's very organized. She has everybody's number. Mm-hmm. You know, she's like, cool under pressure. Like, she really fucking crushed it.
Yeah.
All of you did. Everybody stepped up in a really beautiful way, and I do appreciate
Courtney
it.
crushed your dad's death.
She really did. She was the queen.
She really carried the day.
She fucking killed it.
She killed him.
Yeah. Shout out, Courtney. Either way, Randall, thank God, gets away.
Hope your dad's okay.
Moving on.
Okay.
November 28th, 2017, Boswell and Trial are now really like the suspects. They're beyond persons of interest. It's like, y'all did this, but we need more evidence.
Mm-hmm.
The pair, knowing they're being closed in on by the police, respond by making a declaration on Facebook live stream to defend themselves.
That's how you do it.
Always a good idea. Murderers, take note. Do the live. Do the Facebook live. Get on there.
Get some good lighting.
Yep. Do it.
It's really believable if you're in a moving car while this is happening.
So, yes, if you look like you're on the run, that is the most solid way to tell your side of the story.
It's the best. It's great camera work.
Yep.
Everyone knows you have the best lighting in your car.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you have a sunroof.
These bitches also cannot stop posting. Like, they keep making these lives. They're denying any knowledge of what happened to Sydney. They're maintaining their innocence. They made 4 separate Facebook lives that they then kept posted on their feed. So it's like boom, boom, boom.
For the prosecution.
Literally, for the cops, basically.
Oh my God.
In one of the Facebook videos, Boswell talked about her 2 dates with Loof, but maintained that she was not involved in her disappearance. Trail would pray on the live for Loof to be found safe soon.
Oh my God.
Piece of fucking shit.
Don't look in the back. There's a bunch of saws.
Yeah. Don't check the trunk.
Jesus Christ.
The videos posted on Facebook helped lead law enforcement to the location and arrest of Boswell and Trail at a hotel in Branson, Missouri on November 30th. So they were arrested at this motel for charges related to fraud, as there was not enough evidence about Loof's disappearance being their fault.
Oh my God.
They possessed maps, sleeping bags, and hiking shoes that appeared to have been part of their plan to escape to Mexico. So they were charged for fraud for the coins and antiques. And then they use this to hold them while they have all these warrants to like get everything. Can you fucking believe?
The dumbest part about this whole scheme is exactly what gets them arrested.
Yes. It's the two fucking stupidest things they could do. The coin fraud and Facebook Live videos. Your
and
goose
Branson.
is cooked. Yeah. Not cute.
It's not great.
So several days later, after they were in custody, and I think because in custody, certainly trail started to crack. So December 4th and 5th of 2017, they find dump sites.
Ooh.
Search teams consisting of the police and FBI would find Sidney Loof's severed remains in the same area that cell phone data showed Boswell and Trail had spent 3.5 hours on the afternoon of November 16th, traveling very slowly and then standing still or staying in the same area along county roads west of their apartment in Wilbur.
Oh my God.
Most of Loof's body was found in a ditch in the area that Boswell and Trail had traveled on. Detectives discovered 17 different dump sites in the area.
Oh.
Her body had been segmented into 14 parts and placed into garbage bags. Some of these bags had ripped or torn, and they believe that several of them that happened because they were being like scrounged at by animals. 13 segments of her body were recovered. A section of her upper arm and most of her internal organs were never recovered.
Oh.
It's possible that that section of arm and the organs were consumed by animals. They were not found in Boswell or Trail's possession. There was no indication that Boswell or Trail like did anything with them. I think this was just...
There's no suggestion that they ate that.
No, it's just a really tragic, unfortunate scenario where you have soft tissue cut up with like the smell of blood.
Yeah.
Out in the wilderness.
They're going to go for your guts first too.
Yeah. Animals are going to come. The cause of death was determined to be homicidal violence, including manual strangulation. Her hyoid bone was fractured so severely that it indicated much more force was used than would usually be seen with erotic asphyxiation.
It was like murder asphyxiation.
Yes. Other trauma that they discovered on her remains included blunt force trauma, including bruises on the back of her head, although there were no skull fractures, as well as bruises down the middle of her back and on her inner thighs. She also suffered a torn earlobe around a piercing site in her right ear, and abraded contusions around her wrists, revealing evidence of restraints.
Wouldn't it be wild to do an autopsy on a person who's been cut up into 13 different parts and then determine bruises, contusions?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of the process. It's like they put you as together as possible to get... I mean, it would be... It's horrifying.
It's just what they would have to put her back together. Well, how would you even know what down the middle of her back is unless you're put together?
I think she was dismembered fairly crudely, and that larger sections like the torso, legs, like even the missing portion of her arm was just like a piece of like shoulder. So she wasn't necessarily like completely dismembered. She was certainly mutilated.
Yeah.
And evidence from her body and tissue from her body were found in these different sites.
Yeah. Oof.
They also determined that she endured postmortem trauma to the body. So after she was dead, they had removed some organs from her neck, like the trachea, windpipe, and larynx. And this was determined not to be the work of animals because it was clear that there was a sharp blade that had cut into her neck. But then like the blood pattern, as we know from forensics, she wasn't actively bleeding. So that had to have been done after she was already dead.
And that's fucking wild that they can determine that after she's 13 pieces.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And those pieces of the inside of her neck were never recovered. So those could have been consumed by animals. Because again, there's nothing to indicate that they kept trophies. I think they were just, honestly, they were like fucking around with her remains.
Yeah, they were just playing
and
around.
getting off on their torture fantasy.
And maybe they just had a bunch of her guts and those pieces and her shoulder in a bag, and they just never found that bag.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. There were superficial cuts throughout her body, including shallow cuts that underlined and framed. This is so fucking sad. The whole thing's so fucking sad. A tattoo on her upper right arm that read, "Everything will be wonderful someday."
Oh.
They like cut around it to like frame it. It's so sick.
Oh, that's awful.
It's fucking horrifying. And
She's
I mean,
20?
she's like 21.
Ugh.
She's a kid. Her body had cuts and markings consistent with the use of a knife, a hacksaw, and tin snips, including marks of defleshing and demarcation cuts. There were also several cut marks on her stomach, consistent with a straight knife. In addition to Louf's body, there were several other items dumped among the remains, including duct tape, tarps, a sauna suit with the crotch cut out, yellow latex gloves, and various items of clothing.
Do you think that means they've...
Yeah.
Oh, gross.
Including the clothes that Sydney Louf was wearing in her final Snapchat that she sent when she was getting ready for her date. So that helped them determine
her outfit. She was showing it off to her friends.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. The like retail box that had contained the sauna suit before they took it out, cut out the crotch. A pink sex toy, plastic tarps with blood and other bodily fluids on it, a flat bed sheet, which was determined to match a fitted sheet that was found in the Trail Boswell apartment, as well as cut up pieces of Sydney Louf's driver's license and credit card, pieces of her broken cell phone, and her car keys. Body parts, sex toys, apparel, and other items were found wrapped inside many 30-gallon black trash bags along a gravel road north of Edgar, Nebraska, approximately an hour west of Wilbur. 3 months after the discovery of these dump sites, Sydney Louf's bra and the shirt she was last seen wearing in her Snapchat post were also discovered at another dump site. So it is possible, like you said, there could have been like a bag that wasn't recovered with some of these pieces. It gives me fucking chills. Yeah. Trail and Boswell were, as we said, thankfully arrested, though, like I said, it's worth noting that they were initially arrested on charges related to their fraudulent antique and coin business, while investigators scrambled to compile all the evidence they needed to also charge them with murder, kidnapping, torture, like all the things. The charges stacked.
Yeah.
Apparently they had defrauded some coin dealer out of like $100,000 at some point along the way, and this was enough to make an initial arrest to keep them from fleeing the country, because they had been prepping, as we know, from like the sleeping bags, the camping gear. They were thinking about going to Mexico. They were trying to get out of the country.
They would have gone too, because they're so fucking chaotic and disorganized.
Absolutely, they would have gone.
Yeah.
While in custody, Trail would eventually confess several times and with contradictory details. In his first confession, he would state that he was the only one who killed Louf, and he referenced the law of retaliation and requested that he be executed for Sydney Louf's death. In the second confession, he would state that Louf died accidentally after a third date with Boswell on November 16th. In a third confession, he would claim that the trio were participating in a threesome, and as part of a sexual fantasy that he would choke Louf, but Louf accidentally died as a result. In a fourth confession, he stated that he made special kink movies and he had paid Louf to choke her in a snuff film, but she had accidentally died in the process. In one police interview, he would talk about draining Louf's blood and spoke of being, quote, very thirsty that day. So he's tapping into his vampire shit.
I cannot with this guy.
No, he's disgusting.
Yeah.
Letters exchanged between Trail and Boswell as they awaited trial would be confiscated by police. They were written in code, but very easy to decipher. And in their letters, they openly and in detail admitted to murdering Louf.
Oh my God.
Bye.
Yeah.
They were tried separately. Sounds like Boswell took more deals. Trail tried to build some kind of a defense. So this is his defense according to not facts at all, but what they were just trying to throw at the wall to see what they could do.
I can't wait to hear this.
He acknowledged that there was a lot of talk about torturing and killing in his apartment, but would claim that it was only talk and fantasies, not something they ever intended to act upon. He testified when being picked up for the first date, Boswell told Louf about him, and Louf became upset. However, she was eventually convinced to give him a chance, give it a try with the throuple, and agreed to the second date with both of them. We know that's not true. We know that she never knew about him. Trail would claim that the things they purchased that morning before the second date, the day they killed her, were intended to repair and clean antiques. Trail's defense
8 different saws?
Yeah. Well, you need them for that mid-century hutch.
For the sauna, we need the sauna suit. Yeah.
Yeah. For my, I don't know, Renaissance era dressing wardrobe.
Yeah. My Princess Catherine corner table. I'm refinishing it. I need a sauna suit.
I need it. Trail's defense would state that Loof's death was caused by accident during consensual erotic asphyxiation during sex. His defense would initially state that Loof agreed to participate with Trail in sexual asphyxiation as part of a fantasy that would be filmed. Loof needed money at the time, and she agreed to participate in exchange for payment, according to the defense. Trail would later contradict his own defense once again and his 4 previous confessions and testify that Sidney Loof eventually agreed to experiment that night with erotic asphyxiation as part of a sexual fantasy.
Okay.
That Trail held one end of electrical cord that was being used as an asphyxiation device while Sidney Loof and Boswell engaged in sex. He also stated that Loof was handcuffed at this time. He claimed that during these activities, Loof had what appeared to be a seizure. Her lips turned blue and she started coughing before she stopped breathing and died. He panicked and cut up her body with a bow-type saw and dispersed in the countryside. I mean, hey, if it worked for Robert Durst,
Okay. Again,
maybe it'll work for him.
the accidental asphyxiation by manual asphyxiation
Yeah, that's hard to believe.
doesn't happen in 20 seconds.
No,
Takes a while.
it takes a while. It takes a struggle.
Takes a struggle.
Yeah.
And the way that they said that hyoid bone was broken, like that,
Yeah.
like you said,
There's no way.
not in alignment with.
No, with a consensual, safe sex act. No, not at all. He would also claim that he didn't call an ambulance because of his extensive criminal history and because he had illegal drugs and stolen goods. He claimed he dismembered her body as a means of fitting it into a trunk and then taking it with their car and displacing her, distributing her so that she wouldn't be found, even though they didn't hide her very well.
Was she just on the side of the road?
I think she was along some trails, so not like on the side of the road, but like
Someone was going to find
someone
it.
eventually would have discovered these items, and they had their fucking phones on when they were out there hiding her. And so we had a map, basically a cell phone map of exactly where they went. And that's what they used to build their grid to find all of these dump sites.
It's pathetic is what it is.
It's pathetic. It's pathetic. It's manic. It's absurd. It's horrifying. It's sick. It's violent. It's so many things.
Mm-hmm.
And he was an absolute fucking clown at trial. And on the 3rd day of his 3-week-long trial, he abruptly yelled, "Boswell is innocent," but you like use her first name, "and I curse you all," and then started making slashing gestures at his neck. And people didn't realize that he had snuck a razor blade from jail into the courtroom and was using it to inflict wounds on his neck. Now, there's a photo of him on the drive, and that include the more healed wounds on his neck. They're not like actively bleeding. This was like days later after he'd been stitched up. Yes, some of them get fairly deep, but they're like pretty superficial. Like, we don't think he was actively trying to die by suicide in the courtroom. They think this was an absolute show that he was making.
Yeah. Also, Sidney Loof is adorable.
I know. These folks are, all the victims are, they could be anyone that we would know. Like, you know, it's just, you just never know what somebody is getting sucked into, what somebody's up to. And so if like your friend is in a new situationship or relationship and something seems off. I mean, I know with Loof, it was literally 2 days after they met. There was like no time. And thank God her friend Brooklyn cared about her so much that she would go to such lengths to. Brooklyn literally found Boswell herself on Tinder. Like, this bitch fucking showed up. But like, this is why being in community with your friends is so important. Having people that are looking out for you. So that, you know, if somebody gets into a relationship, it suddenly becomes like super isolated. They're not really hanging out with you anymore. Like, you got to check on your friends. You've got, any of these women could have died. Any of them. All of them could have. So he pulls this stunt. They stitch him up and they're like, get fucking back in there. You're not missing your own trial. It's not happening. You're not dying. Your neck looks fucked. Get back in the pit. In separate trials, both Boswell and Trail were charged with premeditated first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, improper disposal of human skeletal remains. The Trail, I hate having Trail and Trial in the same fucking section.
Yeah, it's rough. It's hard.
He would plead no contest to improper disposal and was found guilty on the 2 other charges. He was sentenced to death and is currently on death row. Boswell would be convicted of all charges and sentenced to life in prison, having been spared the death penalty, as she and her family pleaded with the court not to sentence her to death and referenced the trauma that she'd experienced throughout her lifetime, that it was possible she was coerced by Trail. I don't know. My feelings about her are complicated. I don't defend her in the slightest. I know that hurt people, but like they both went so beyond the pale.
Yeah.
Folks think at the end of the day, her family's plea to the court and the fact that she still had a young daughter, though she didn't have custody of her. Her daughter was only about 5 years old at the time of the trial. So they did not sentence her to death. But regardless, neither Boswell nor Trail will ever leave prison alive. And I don't think they should be back in society.
I don't think so either.
I don't think they should.
They went
Whatever.
really far.
Yeah. It's like one of the fucking wildest, sickest stories I've read. Cases I've read. It's not a story. This is somebody's fucking life.
Yeah. Lots of people's lives.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
So anyway, that's my case.
Thank you for so thoroughly covering one of the most gruesome
worst
cases
thing ever. Yeah,
I'm glad I had some wine with me to get me through that.
I'm doing my job. You've got Ray curled up on your chair behind you.
Yep.
You're
Got
gonna go for
Ray.
date night. Be careful on date night tonight.
Well, I and my friends and community know a lot about the person I'm going on the date with, so
Maybe we should share our locations with each other.
I'll share my location with you. Yeah, we are going for a walk around a lake. Ooh.
Uh-oh, don't get coffee.
I would never. My bowels would never.
Fair. Well, thank you so much for joining us for another whimsical, lighthearted, fun episode with the Wine and Crime Gals.
Yeah, be safe out there.
Yes, please do. And we'll see you next week.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Wine and Crime. Our cover art is by Danielle Sylvan. Music by Phil Young and Corey Wendell. Editing by Jonathan Camp. Our production manager is Andrea Gardner. For photos and sources, check out our blog at wineandcrimepodcast.com. You can follow us on all the socials at Wine and Crime Pod. If you have questions, answers, or recommendations to share, email us at wineandcrimepodcast@gmail.com. Episodes are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. If you like the show, please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. It is the best way to spread the word. If you'd like to show your support and get access to all sorts of wine-fueled bonus content, visit our Patreon page. Cheers! This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance.
Fiscally responsible financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are the things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds.
Visit progressive.com to see if you could save.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.